Hey, what's up, y'all? How's it going? Damage per Second podcast. That's DPS podcast. We're back. Episode 160. Last episode of this very chaotic 2023. And we're gonna have a good show, man. We're gonna have an awesome show. Ain't that right, Forte?
We always have an awesome show. There's a lot of there's just a lot of stuff that's like happened since beginning of this week, and on top of that, with everybody doing all their shopping and enjoying their families that probably come from out of town, so they can like get on their nerves for the course of the next week or so. But there's a lot of stuff that gamers that normally just like the game have to deal with this week, on top of all the stuff that news related that came out. So it's a lot of stuff to talk about. Slow.
Right. We do have a special guest coming through. The homie Game Logic. He don't know what happened to him. He should be. Hopefully he's okay, but he should be. I'm coming through. Hey, look, man. I wish I was asleep right now. Honestly, I've had 4 hours of sleep in the past 48 hours. So that's some work stuff that I'm dealing with. But not anyone else's problem, just mine. Nothing to worry about. We got some interesting topics for tonight. Some interesting discussions that will be had due to all of the various bombshells that have dropped since the last time we did our episode last week. And so, I mean, really, we're definitely going to talk about some games. I've been playing the finals. I don't mind admitting when I was wrong about something. I think I was wrong about that game.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
You played it too?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We will definitely discuss. Also, looks like Persona 6 likely to be multi-platform when it launches. We got.
Shout out to Sega.
We got. Welcome, Logic. Glad to have you. We have some changes in the organizational structure of Activision Blizzard King. We got PlayStation hitting 50 million consoles sold, and what a lot of people probably definitely want to discuss is this Insomniac leak. And should we really even be talking about leaks? That's kind of like a subtopic, but I kind of felt like we should probably discuss it first before even discussing the leak itself. So we're going to get into it, man. We'll get into it. But before we do all that, I want to introduce our guest. We got Mr. Game Logic here. And he's a panelist with us on Brat Podcast that airs Wednesdays with Enrique, with B Money, and myself and Forte. Game Logic, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Good. How y'all?
Yeah, we're hanging in there, man. It's been a trying time. I mean, look, it's not that dramatic,
been sleeping. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Like I've been trying to catch up on sleep. Forte been getting all the sleep. Hope you've been good, man. Yeah, what games have you been playing?
Man, I think I've been playing a lot of stuff as usual, but probably this week I've mostly been on a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Double SP, baby.
Is it Double SP week this weekend coming up?
Yeah. Well, Forte's on PlayStation, so he's been double XPing it up since like what, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, they gave it early for the PlayStation guys for the last time, because you guys aren't getting it like that starting next year. Just enjoy it now. While you have it.
They can enjoy it now. I'm just enjoying it because I just happen to have it over there.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, like we got squad up one night because I know we were playing on Modern Warfare 2 a lot. I've been playing some with Forte and some with our homie Sir Taz. Shout out to Taz. And I've done a little Call of Duty over the past week, but I've actually been playing another multiplayer game a bit more. And again, it's one of the topics. We'll discuss it later, but I definitely have to kind of backpedal on some of my comments about that game a little bit to a degree, because I think it still needs some work there. But that's good, man. You've been playing some Call of Duty. What else you been doing, man?
Nothing much, man. Just trying to.
Did you build a PC? You built another PC.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about. Yes, so I don't know if I was on this. What's that?
I'm just laughing that he had to remind you that you built the PC.
It was.
He said, "Oh yeah, I did. I built a PC. I spent a lot of money, and I forgot that I did."
Nobody builds more PCs than him. It's like every other day he's like, "Yeah, I got my mid-level PC. I got my high end. I got like my potato." And I'm just like, "How do you have?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna." I'm like, how do you have that? Matter of fact, that's a good question. When do you get the time to just keep building all these PCs? Like I'll do that in PC, simulator, like PC build simulator the game, but like not actual PCs, which it's fun to do, but yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's fun. I think it's fun.
It's fun the initial time you do it. It's not like fun to keep putting them together every 2 seconds.
Man, I showed up tonight. I thought the convo was gonna be casual. Y'all are asking the tough questions.
Well, that's because we haven't seen you in a while.
That's true. I haven't come through in a while.
Logic, why are you spending so much money?
Yes, we are pocket watching right now.
Yeah, no, seriously, like, do you just enjoy like building PCs?
So I do, and I've we're probably going to talk a lot about gamer Twitter tonight, but I've often tried to explain that to gamer Twitter. There's a lot of conversation that goes on around, oh well, if you're playing on PC, you spent so much money, and I only spent $500 on my console, and I respect that. Look, I mean, everybody's going to game how they want to game. The thing that I've tried to explain to people sometimes is that, first of all, PC gamers are of two different types, right? There are people who go out and buy their PCs, and those are people who just enjoy gaming on PC to game on PC. There are those of us who build PCs, and there's more that we get out of that. Slomo, you and I both work in technical fields. I mean, quite literally, building PCs, which I started doing 24 years ago, formulated a lot of my philosophies and mentality about troubleshooting that I actually use, in the workplace.
Right.
Rules that I set for teams about, hey, let's not troubleshoot by swapping parts. Please don't come to me and ask me to buy like several $1,000s of parts when you haven't proven to me that part is going to fix the problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's all sorts of stuff, and you learn from it, right? And so I enjoy doing it. To me, in my head, it is the 21st century replacement of when our dads used to like tinker with cars like in their garage. So
right.
And I'm not handy around the house. Like, look, if a wall needs to be painted or plumbing needs to be fixed, I don't do that myself. I'm hiring a contractor. That doesn't bring me joy. But building PCs is something that I do with my hands and that I do enjoy. And as a person who comments on games and comments on PCs, I've mentioned this to you all before. I just feel personally like, and this goes back to when I first started getting into blogging and content creation and stuff. I feel like, look, if you're gonna be somebody who comments on PC hardware, it's one thing for you to be an evangelist and jump up and down and insist that you're right in your perspective about PCs. I look at you some kind of way when you've built like one PC. Right. Maybe two. When I comment on these things, I've just personally wanted to be not necessarily credible, but I've just wanted to have the experience to back it up, right? To have built in dozens of different types of cases and worked with both AMD processors and Intel processors and, AMD GPUs.
There is a difference.
Yeah. So it's been fun. Building PCs is as much my hobby as gaming. So yeah, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Cool. Yeah. I was just gonna say real quick to your point about when you mentioned console gamers and they talk about PC gaming and they're like, oh well, like I only spent $500. My response to that is always, well, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
So look, you pay for $500. You're getting a $500 experience. You're getting a closed device system
Yep.
that
Ecosystem.
you don't have a lot of flexibility with when the games come on it, and you don't like the resolution that the game is playing at. You don't have any other options outside of accept it or not play the game. Whereas I have various options of what to do, and as Logic said, like, there are people who rock a potato PC, and they're good. They got a 1060 GPU, and that's all they need to play Counter-Strike Go and League of Legends, because those games are very demanding, and they can play that to their heart's content, and they don't need to upgrade. They don't even like trying to play the games that push the envelope. And then you got your other gamers that, you know, every time Nvidia drops a new generation, they out there grabbing the most expensive one and throwing it in their rig. They're rebuilding PCs, and they like to spend that money. You know, like, that's the versatility of the PC market, I think. And I think I kind of fit like right in the middle. Like, I don't need to have the greatest. I just want to make sure that the PC I use is giving me the performance that I want. And when it's no longer giving me the performance that I want, then I start to make changes. I've built about 3 PCs so far, 2 for myself, 1 for my son. But like, personal work life stuff, like, at one point in time, I felt like, I think in 1 year back when I was in a knock, I may have like rebuilt about half a dozen. Actually, no, definitely at least a dozen servers at work. And I think around that time, I was just like, I'm not doing PC gaming, because I was just sick of always tinkering with stuff at work. But then, like, I'm not dealing with that no more. Yeah, you know, like, I don't mind having to like rebuild something, to take something and put something together real quick at home. I don't want to completely bore our console brethren, but, you know, Forte, you were about to say something. We can move on after that.
No. I was gonna say I agree 100% with what he's saying. You know, my initial foray into PC was just going out and buying a pre-built, and then after my pre-built took a crap, well, the GPU. Well, actually, it was one of those situations where I realized that I was like, man, okay, so my motherboard was either acting up, I was getting really, it was like shutting down and stuff on me. And I was like, okay, what the heck is the problem? So I went out and bought a brand new GPU, switched out the GPU, was still doing it, switched out the CPU, it was still doing it. I was like, are you telling me that I'm literally about to spend all my money and it was a motherboard issue? And of course it was a motherboard issue. So I ended up so that was like my first time, and I put it back in the same case that I had, because it was a modular case. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I have a new PC now. And you know, that was like the beginnings of making me like having me love just the overall process of it, because my very first time of doing it was like the most horrendous nightmare of just trying to upgrade a part because I thought that part was bad. And then I was like, oh, this is actually not that hard, you know, just changing out little things, you know. And then you think about it, you take out one thing and it don't work, then you gotta take it all out again and keep on troubleshooting and stuff. And then I realized, I was like, man, this isn't as hard as people think it is. It's actually pretty simple. And then it actually gives you a little bit more awareness of like how all the systems come together and work. And like the iteration of the PC I'm on now is probably my 6th or 7th, I think my 7th build now. So nowhere near where Logic is, but I definitely understand what he's talking about when it comes to just that process of, you know, going through all the systems and everything and getting more of an understanding so you can actually know what affects what. And that's actually a really cool thing about building PCs.
Nice. Now, Slow-Mo, I know you're going to cut me off, but look, you're not going to ask me about my new PC and then not let me run down my specs. So.
Oh, no. Yeah, I completely forgot. No, please do that.
He's got a 4090, probably.
I
Oh,
did
which
not go
which version? Which
I
version?
didn't go with the 4090. So let's start at the
Okay.
top. So I built it in that same Lee case that I think y'all have seen. So that's
Mhm.
the OD11 Evo that has like the 10 that can accommodate like 10 case fans. Wait, so it's the Corsair RMX RM1000X 1000 watt PSU.
Okay.
It's an MSI B650 board. So I went with
Hey, I think I got that same. Well, I got MSI board. I don't know if it's the same
it's
model.
probably the Mag Tomahawk Wi-Fi is the one that I
Do it.
have.
No, that's not the same board for me. But still, MSI is a good. They got good motherboards. I give them a lot of the slander, but they make some very high quality motherboards.
So it's got a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D in it. So it's got the Corsair H150i Elite Capellix AIO. Is the one that I went with. There's a water block on that. It's got swappable faceplates. So I swapped the faceplate that was on it, put the white faceplate on it, and then it has ARGB lighting on the water block, as well as the 3 fans that you control with IQ. 64 gigabytes of RAM, so it's two 32 gigabyte sticks. I think it's G.Skill RAM that I have in there.
Okay.
And then I went with an RTX 4080. So that's a 16 gigabyte 256-bit bus GPU. I'll come back to that real quick. And then it has 6 drives in it. So it has three PCIe 4.0 NVMe drives, 2 terabytes apiece. And then it has 3 2.5-inch SSDs in it, a 512 gigabyte, a 1 terabyte, and a 4 terabyte. So it's like 11.5 gigabytes of total storage in the box. So the most interesting thing about it was the GPU, because that was the part that I agonized over the most. That was the last part that I bought. It was buying in the holiday season. GPU supply is getting really short because they're going really fast. The 4070s are flying off the shelves because you can get that card for $500 in some places, $550.
I'm a little annoyed the 4080 keeps selling the way it is, considering how overpriced it is. I was kind of hoping people would hold out a little bit longer so that, like, when these refresh cards come, they would heavily discount the 4080. Now I feel like Nvidia is just going to be like, well, it sells so much, we're just going to leave it as is. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, true, and I got my 4080 for below MSRP.
Good.
I was looking at the 4090, but the 4090 has been creeping up in price, and so there was like one available at one store, maybe B&H or something, that was at MSRP. Most things were at like 8. I think MSRP on that card's like $16.99, $15.99. Then it got to be available in some places at like $1,800. And then the cheapest one I could find was $19.99. I was like, okay, I'm not paying $2,000 for that card. So I was keeping my eye on the 4080s, and the 4070 was my backup plan. I had my eye on a 4080 that was just below MSRP, but it's from a company called Galax, which is not a well-known brand. But the reviews on that card are pretty good, and when you look at the spread on them, they're like all 5-star reviews with like a very small number of like 1s and 2s. So either the people who got the card either were incredibly satisfied with it, especially at the price that they got it at, and then there were a handful of people out there who had just had nightmare cards, which always kind of happens. So this card has a piggyback cooling fan on it. So it has the 3 main cooling fans right on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
But it has a piggyback card that goes on the back. That's another like 120 millimeter fan. So it has 4 cooling fans. So it has on the back end of the card, it has a push-pull effect, and then it sucks down towards the other end of the other 2 cards. So it's pretty neat. So it's got additional cooling, so the card runs incredibly great. And then it also has ARGB fans itself. So it's got like a proprietary header on the back that I run to a fan bus. So the card's lit in the case as well. So I posted that video in the Brap chat that you guys saw. But that's, so all the case fans are lit, the cooling block is lit, and the GPU is lit. And I apologize that I occupied the first part of your guys' show geeking out, but I'm done.
No, you're good. You're good, man. You know that's part of our show is talking about the tech side of things and PC stuff. So no, this is I'm good with it, and I know that there's a lot of people in the chat discussing talking about PC parts as well. So I know that a lot of us are I'm always excited when other people are excited about building their PCs. And every now and then people in the community hit me up and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and what do you think about this kind of build, or what would be the best GPU to combine, a combination to do with this CPU? And I love getting questions like that. Not that I'm an expert, but it's just like I like to kind of discuss it and see, like I give my opinion, and I do a little bit of research on it myself. I'm always end up learning what others are doing and what other people who have built their PCs already are doing. So it's always great, man.
Yeah, I feel you on the 4080 pricing, but where I was with it, I was like, the way I always feel about these things is when those cards become available, you like, I don't know what the supply is going to be like. I don't know whether or not they're going to be easily obtainable. I don't know whether or not they're going to be launched, and then it's going to be months before you can actually get a hold of one. And you don't know, right, with the market sliding around, you just don't know if it's going to shoot up to being above MSRP, because you don't always necessarily know, depending on what kind of card you have or looking for. You don't always necessarily know whether or not the previous half step iteration is going to get discounted. So it's all like a game. So a lot of times I just go, look, I know what this card is right now. It's in my price bracket. Let me do that, and I'll worry about with the new card when it comes out, and we see what happens.
Yep. Let me grab a couple super chats that we got. Shout out to Octacon Ocelot. I think I said that correctly with the $2 super chat. Said, what's up, bros, man? What's up, Octacon? Hope you're having a good one. We also got a super chat from Enrique, $5 super chat. Says, happy holidays, DPS. Slow-mo, where do I ship your case of Red Bull? Enrique, you don't need to ship it. Like when it comes to Red Bull, my nose, I'm like a bloodhound. You just leave it anywhere. I'll find it. I'll hunt it down. It's Red Bull. It's in my blood. It's in my veins. I got it. No. And then shout out to Enrique for the $2 super chat. Says PC greater than consoles. Big facts, especially considering that we get all the games, even games that are unreleased for. No, I'm about to say something. No, let me not say that. That's. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not gonna go there because some of that stuff is just not right that people doing with leaks. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to actually talking about our first topic. If you guys are ready for that, you guys are ready.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right. So first topic of the night, and something I have to admit. Hey, look, I was wrong. I was wrong about the finals. I had said that this game was going to be kind of mid. I said I played the beta and I ain't like it. I ain't think it was good. I was bored. I didn't care for the modes. I didn't care for the one map they gave us, and that's it. And I thought it was kind of. Oh, and also the controller controls were pretty bad. It was decent on mouse and keyboard, but awful on controller. And I was just like, this game is going to be dead in the water. And they put some work into it. And I had heard other people talking about how good it got, and I was just kind of rolling my eyes like, man, whatever. And finally, when they during the Video Game Awards where they did their Shadow launch, and so many people were playing it, it's out on every platform, and I said, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and give it a shot. I installed it. But I didn't want to play it solo because I've already kind of played these games solo. And I didn't want to play this game solo where there's so much coordination and you need a lot of teamwork to win and be successful. And so when I finally got, a friend of mine to come try it out with me, man, I'm having a good time with it. So it's actually pretty good. They got more maps. They fixed the controller settings. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time.
This is the gameplay that's up on the screen right now.
Yep.
This visually, this looks good to me. It seems slow, like Valorant kind of slow. So
no, it's fast. It's faster paced than Valorant. Yeah. Now it is very strategic though. Like you need to, because like there's two modes, and there's like one's called quick cash, the other one's called cash in. So essentially, what it's all about is really having. Because like the whole theme is like a game show theme. So like when you're playing, there's like an audience cheering and everything. You're on a team, and there's like an announcer that's all like, "Oh, the whatever your team name is, this team's doing awful," and like that kind of stuff, right? But gameplay wise, it's 3 teams. Like one mode has 3 teams of 3, and then another mode has 4 teams of 3, and the whole goal is to have more points than the other team and whatever. I think in the mode that we're in quick cash, you need to get a total of 20K. Yeah, 20K to win. And then the other one, I think you have to have, that's like teams of 3, like 4 teams of 3. You have to have like 45K. But you can get more cash quicker in that mode than in this mode. But it's pretty good. But it's a game that, in my opinion, if you play this solo, you're not going to have fun. Are there
respawns in this game?
Yeah, but they're long. Yeah, they're long respawns. Yeah, but the thing I think with it is that it's a game that if you don't have coordination, if you're not speaking with your other teammates, and you're not using strategy, you're not going to have fun with this game. It's you're going to be really frustrated as people aren't doing what they should be doing. Typical multiplayer experience where you're playing by yourself and no one else is speaking kind of deal. So this is why I would recommend, if you're going to play this game, and you only need 2 other people really. Like it's squads of 3. I haven't played in Squad 3 yet. I've been playing with just one other friend so far. But with just one other friend, I'm having fun. Even though we may get a random that's like completely worthless and not giving us any kind of support whatsoever. But it's a good time. It's a good time. And I think if you're the kind of person that may like Battlefield game, like a game like Battlefield, a first-person shooter with a lot of coordination, objectives, and roles, then you would like this. It's got basically 3 different types of contestants. There's like the light build, which is what you see me using in the gameplay, the medium build, and heavy, and they have their own weapons and skills and various different levels. It's like the light build is very fast, but has very little durability. The heavy is slower, but of course can take a lot of damage. And team composition is important and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty cool. You were about to say something, Logic. I kind of cut you off there.
This is at number 7 of concurrent players on the Steam list.
Yes, it is pretty popular right now. Yeah.
Huh. Is it only? Do you know? Is it only available via Steam on PC, or is it? What systems is it on?
I think it's only on. I think it's only on Steam on PC, but it's also on Xbox and PlayStation as well. So there's cross play through all of that.
Yeah. You know why I asked that question? Because I like knowing that we can go out and hunt some console players with their low frames per second.
I don't know what frame rates they're running on the consoles, but like, look, I'm getting like 165 between 130 and 165 frames per second at 1440p. On this, my only issue performance wise is for some reason in the main menu my CPU temps are really high, and my friend was saying the same thing. We both have very different builds, but both of our CPU temps, both high end builds, but different CPU, different coolers, and we're both like, yo, why is that CPU temps like in the 70s, just sitting in the menu doing nothing? And it's like, that's a little bug that gotta get fixed. But other than that, it performs great. It's on Unreal Engine 5. Shockingly, it performs great on Unreal Engine 5 because, you know, Unreal Engine 5 has not had a good run of things this year in 2023. But it's pretty cool. I like it. Forte, I know you said you had played it today, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you like it? Did you play it solo or did you play it with someone else?
I played it solo.
How was that experience?
I like it. See, that's the thing though. If you're like you just said, if you're a Battlefield person, then the experience of playing the game is just like it feels natural. Like I think it moves. I think it's slightly faster because it is. I do think it's
very fast.
Yeah,
well,
it's definitely
okay. Go ahead.
I mean, what I'm saying, I think it's slower than what, like, you know, something like Call of Duty, but I think it's faster than what Battlefield is.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
But in general, the gunplay feels very familiar. The class system is something that Battlefield kind of started introducing with Battlefield 2042. They went back to the class. They went to the, you know, specialist system and stuff like that. So some people can take or leave that. It just really depends on, like, if you like the abilities or just normal class build out. But I like the destruction is ridiculous. Like,
the
one thing
that destruction is crazy. I forgot to talk about that.
No, listen, the one thing that I miss the most in Battlefield games is being able to take a whole building down. You really can't do that in Battlefield 2042. But in Battlefield 4, in Battlefield 3, like, the buildings can come down, like walls and whole structures can come down in those games. And I
like the strategy of it in this game because there was a particular time where so like in this mode you get, like, you pick up a package of money and then you gotta take it to one of 4 different drop-off points, and then you gotta kind of like hold out after you drop it off at the drop-off point. It takes like 5 minutes for it to upload or whatever, and so you're defending that point against 2 other teams. And a strategy I've seen people, like, one strategy we used one time where we won was we took all the fire grenades and we just kept throwing them on the drop-off point because like the other players couldn't get to it, so we're throwing fire grenades on it. They can't stop it because the goal is to get to it and to steal it, and it doesn't reset the timer, so you could actually steal it like 5 seconds before it finishes, and you could take all the money, even though they may have for like 4 minutes and 50 seconds had it the entire time. And it's little things like that that's I think is pretty cool. But like, we just threw fire all around it and none of the other teams get near it, and we just started just killing them all. And then there was another time we saw like destructibility, where they had like the drop off point was at this big platform that the other team had, and me and my friend just pulled out rocket launchers that the heavy class has, and we just started leveling the entire building. Like, we just started shooting from the bottom and blowing the floors up, and it would drop the drop off point lower all the way to the ground, and then we could steal it. Then it's so much strategy that could be used with that destructibility that I really like about it. My bad. Go ahead, continue, man.
No. Yeah, I agree, and I think that's the cool thing about the overall synergy of team play and just being able to, like, you really can't. You could try to fortify some positions in that game, but with the game being a little bit faster than people are kind of used to when it comes to that type of game, when it comes to like Battlefield and stuff, and
there's always a counter.
Yeah, there's a counter, and then the ability just to bring down entire structures and stuff. It's really cool. The game looks really good. That was like the one big selling point on the game at first, is that it was the way of the game looking, and then on top of that, just the overall destructibility. Controller support, that was one thing that I was like with you at first. I didn't like what they had on the PC before. Now it's actually really, really good compared to what it used to be. Did you get a chance to play it on console, or did you just play it just on PC?
I've only played it on PC.
I did both, and it's kind of it's similar on both. Of course, higher frame rate, higher resolution, and everything on PC, you can see a little bit more more clear and stuff. But the thing is, what was weird to me, I preferred the regular FOV on console more than the slider on PC. I don't know why that is.
What's the, so you can't change the field of view on console?
No, you can. But I forgot to change it, and I was like, and when I went back, I was like, yeah, I actually did better on here, because
Interesting.
Because the first thing I do on PC is I just go straight to the FOV. I instantly go to 90 just to see what 90 looks like, and then normally I'm somewhere between 95 and 100 by the time I'm done with it. But in this, like, I forgot to do it. It was like after the game, we was in like a heated match. I said, well, I'll change it after the game. And when I looked up, I was like, dang, I actually played really well, and I actually enjoyed. And I don't know what I didn't look to see exactly what I think it starts at. I think it starts at like 80 or something on the FOV. It just felt, I don't know, maybe because, I don't know, I really can't say, because also I played it on a bigger TV too, so that might have something to do with it.
Right. I mean, because on PC you play on an ultra wide, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's the difference. So it's definitely it's a different experience, but I will say in that game, I almost prefer 10:9 aspect ratio, because it's so much going on in that game. I don't know if I want the extra real estate to kind of take me out of it. Like, the immersion is definitely there when you're playing in 21:9, but that 10:9, that might be more. I'm glad you said that might be more of what it was. So yeah, I actually think that's a better experience in that game. Well, as of right now, with the game just coming out.
Yeah, I try not to play anything below a 90 field of view, and my max is like 105. 105 is like my sweet spot. I don't want anything bigger than 105 field of view. So, but that's just me. Everyone has their preferences. My bad, Logic. You about to say something?
No. So, is there a lot of third partying going on in the game?
Oh yeah, because it's three different teams, minimum 3 different teams. So it's like you're definitely a lot of times I'm like fighting someone, and then like someone from the other team or the other team jumps in, and next thing I know, like all of us are dead. So you definitely have to. But I think my only criticism really with it being at this point is, I think the cosmetics kind of suck, and I think the respawn times are too long, because they will take a while, and I understand why they do that. That's for strategy sake, because there are times where I would die, my friend died, and then that random that we don't know and is not communicating with us is like still going like head up against 3 other people. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, if you die at this point, you're gonna reset our timer on the respawn, because let's say I get down to 1 second. I actually did this at one point too, and my boy chewed me out because I got a triple kill. I wiped the whole squad. And I'm just like, yeah, that guy, like, and my boy's like, yeah, I got 1 second. I didn't even hear him say he got 1 second left before he could come back. Apparently, before I killed the other team, they had put a mine right beside his trophy where I could respawn him. I went over, just feeling myself and everything, not listening. I went over to his body and got killed. The other guy on our team was dead. Reset our respawn timers for another 15 seconds. I was like, oh man, I messed up. And it's just like, so what? I got a triple kill, but that whole entire team is gonna be back before my team. So it's just like, what did I gain? Nothing. So it's really about strategy, and you can get all the kills in the world you want. Like I think one match I had first time I ever used the heavy. I got like 30 kills and only like 5 deaths. We still lost. So it's just like, yeah, get all the kills you want, but if you're not really like working well with your teammates, and you guys aren't communicating well, and working as a team, it don't matter. You're gonna lose. So it's really that kind of game. And if you're the kind of gamer that's like, yeah, I like playing multiplayer games, but I don't like communicating with people, and I just want to play things solo, and I just want to mind my own bit, like this probably won't be the game for you.
So a lot of the trailer and the marketing that I'm seeing, this looks very familiar. And you know what it looks like to me? Is it looks a lot like what Miss Jade is working on.
Oh, Fair Games?
Fair Games, yeah.
Have you seen Fair Games gameplay?
Not
or
gameplay.
just you mean
I'm
just the teaser trailer? Okay.
The marketing and the setup.
The stylized marketing, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that it's essentially a heist game.
Yeah, it's a heist game, and it's got more than one team, and it's multiplayer. Hey, you know, maybe that is what it is. I think they're still kind of slated that for Fair Games to come out this year, so I would assume that we would see some gameplay the next time they show it, and we'll likely probably see it within the next few months or so. If they still plan on it coming out this year, like, you know, they delayed 6 of their games as a service games. I'm not certain if that was one of them. Before they did those delays, when they did that showcase back in, I think, last May, it was slated to come out next year. So I'm just going to assume until we hear differently, that's still the case. But yeah, I would love to see the gameplay for that, because if it's anything like this, and the mechanics are solid, the gunplay mechanics are solid, yeah, I'll play Fair Games, because this kind of like had me reevaluate how I feel about certain multiplayer games, because it kind of surprised me when you definitely have people that you can play with that are focused on the same page with you, of course.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I mean, Fair Games is supposed to be a competitive heist game. You know, the little bits and tidbits that I've heard about it tells me that the setup sounds very similar to this one. So.
Yeah. But
you know, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think the real thing that really will show whether this game is going to be really something that people will be talking about like 6 months from now is how Embark, who is the developer, their former Battlefield devs, which, you know, considering how this game has a lot of like communication and teamwork, that would make a lot of sense. How they handle the rollout of new content, how they support the game and keep it fresh for people, you know, in the future, because we've seen multiplayer games like Multiverses, for example, that you know, clone of Smash Bros.
Smash Brothers.
Yeah, and we've seen how that game started out really well and was the game of the moment for a little while, and then a year later, it literally doesn't exist. Like, they shut it down within a year. And I think people have their mainstay multiplayer games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, Valorant, those games that are, no matter what, they'll always go back to those games. And it's really difficult to steal players from those particular communities. And you have to, once you get those players in your ecosystem, you have to find a way to keep them there. And you can only do that by always having fresh content for them to get into. And I think so far, I mean, like, they got a little Christmas event going, you know, like you log in and they just give you a free Santa hat and a bunch of other small little things. So I think they noticed that some of that stuff is necessary, but cosmetics are one thing. You gotta have modes that keep the gameplay fresh. You gotta have things where people aren't getting bored by doing the same exact thing every single time, and that dynamically things are changing every time they load into a match and it feels fresh, because that's what's really important. So I guess we'll have to see how this turns out 6 months from now, right?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit when we've gone back and kind of analyzed Halo Infinite, right? The service catalog of stuff that you need to have these days is you got to have maps, you got to have LTEs, limited time events, and you got to have LTMs, limited time modes, as well as like just your generic cosmetics, which cosmetics you're now getting to the point where that's a commodity, right? Everyone has those. Mm-hmm. What keeps people hype and engaged and keeps people coming back is the LTMs, the LTEs, and maps, and you have to you have to change the carousel of the maps as well, right? You got to change up the rotations. You've got to apply them uniquely to LTMs and LTEs. Call of Duty. You could feel whatever kind of way you feel about Call of Duty, but Shipment and Rust. What do they call it? Like Rustment, like intermixing those two maps, like the small scale CQB maps that keep
there's a new Meat. Meat is the new one. Paul, big pause there. But Meat, it's like people getting that meat all right in Call of Duty in Modern Warfare 3. Because it's that map now where everyone some people are just like, I only want to play on that map, and other people are like, I'm good.
And like you said, right, the true tale of the tape with these things is what I've generally been settling on is about 6 months. Like, please don't overhype the game or say that this is the Apex Legends killer, or just get way out of your lane and over your skis with describing these games until it's at the 6 month point. They've hit their first or second season in Battle Pass, and you've seen the tilt and the edge and the change up, right, and gotten a feel for whether or not they're going to be able to keep people retained. Because like you said, I was talking about this, I think on Brap or on a rant, these games are highly dependent upon, right, around the gravity of the total volume of player base, right? New players coming in, they want to go where the most players are, because that in their mind is what's popular. That's what in their mind keeps the competition high, but also creates a wide enough variance of competition so that you're not going to go somewhere, right, and get cheek clapped like every single night, right? They're looking for things that are not EVE Online, where you're going to go and you're going to get seal clubbed, right, as soon as you come out on the field. And so, people come out and they look at Fortnite, they look at Apex Legends, they look at Call of Duty. And if you're outside of those bounds, right, you're in the risk zone for your game not surviving, right? Not being able to generate enough gas and heat and fire to keep the thing going. So I feel you. I'm just like, 6 months down the road or so, we'll see how this lands. The thing that I haven't quite put my finger on is, I say that it's 6 months when you can have a feel for whether or not the thing is going to be successful or not. But what I feel like is there's some point in time that's like a horizon point, right, from day zero and before that 6 month time. Let's call it the 2 month time frame, or the 3. Like, that is the point where you have to hit your stride. You don't see how the results are going to be until 6 months. That's when the rest of us can kind of tell. But there's a certain point, right, where you're on that upward glide path that you hit some type of inflection point that if you miss that window, you're not going to be around, right? At 6 months, you're going to be on your way out. But I haven't quite got my handle on, what that is or what that time frame is that these games need to hit in order to keep things going.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. One more question I had before we can move on to the next topic is if I wonder how long, like, it can games where, like this game, where you need a high level of what's the word I'm looking for? You need a high level of coordination with other players and communication. How well can these games really survive? Because I kind of feel like games like Fortnite provide modes where you can play solo. Like, I played Fortnite a little bit earlier today, got a solo win. I don't need to play in a squad, although I can solo queue into a squad and play with a squad if I want to. That isn't an option in this game. So if you don't have friends to play with, and typically the experience in multiplayer games when you play solo, and there's a high degree of that kind of coordination, that you typically don't have a great experience, or you don't feel like it's a great experience. How long can these games really last if it's not fun to play solo? Forte, I think this is probably a good question for you, Forte, because I feel like you tend to play Battlefield solo.
I play
And that
every day
go ahead.
solo. Play every day. So what are you about to say? You said that game what?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe this isn't. Well, I was wondering if this is be a kind of question for you because you play a game that's similar to this solo, but you have fun playing solo. And I think what it kind of comes down to, I think what it's really about is if you don't have fun playing a game solo, or if when you have these kind of games that need this level of coordination, you are almost reliant upon your friend group still playing the game. So if one of them decides, hey, look, I was having fun, but the new season for X game just came out, I'm going back to that. Or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's about to drop, I'm about to play that for a month. And you lose that player, now the level of fun that you were having with that game has been impacted. Can you survive by yourself until more friends come join you, or whether you're just done? So, like you may just be done with the game, period.
So I'll give you two contrasts to it, because I particularly like playing solo because, with scheduling and stuff, unless I know I can catch certain people online, but I like to play, like, sometimes I play like early in the day, throughout the day, and I'll just jump on and play. But I'll give you the Battlefield side, and I'll also give you the Destiny side. The Destiny side is that game I could always play by myself, because there's a lot of things in the game you need other people, or you would want to do with other people. But I wouldn't do like I couldn't do PvE activities in that game by myself. I tried doing it by myself. I actually soloed a couple of things by myself in that game, but the experience just wasn't as fun for me, because it's like, outside of just learning the mechanics and stuff, there's really no changing ebb and flow to the game. It's like the same mechanics, and once you master them, you're good, you're done with it. But when it comes to PvP, I can play PvP all day by myself. I would go, like, the reason I literally stopped playing Destiny is because I got to a point where the PvP got so dry to me that I didn't want to log into it. And once I didn't want to log into PvP, it took the one thing that I 100% could just jump into Destiny and play with nobody else there and have fun in the game. So I got to a point where I was like, yo, I don't even want to play Destiny because I don't want to play PvP. The people that I play, PvE with aren't on the time sometimes when I want to play. So I started kind of falling off the game, and little by little, I just stopped playing it. And that's kind of where I am now. Compared to Battlefield, man, I can jump into a game with Battlefield anytime I want to. Like earlier today, I dropped my daughter off at school, came home, played like 2 hours of Battlefield, went to sleep, woke up, picked my daughter up from school, jumped in, played another hour and a half of Battlefield. And it's like it's like seamless to me. It's like, I don't care. And I think the biggest thing a lot of people got to realize too, I'm one of those people, I'm very competitive. I talk a lot of junk in games, especially after I get the hang of them again. If you are all about winning in games, playing by yourself sucks. I don't mind playing by myself and losing a game as long as I do good myself.
Okay, Kobe.
As long as I listen, no, seriously. As long as I know I did everything I possibly could do myself by playing the objective, getting my kills, helping my team do the things that I supposed to do in the game, and if we lose, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, our team just sucked, and I'm good with that because I know I'm playing by myself. But it's a completely different animal if I'm playing with other people. If I play with other people, I'm like, yo, what the hell? How are we losing to these bums? We shouldn't be losing them. But you hear me talk about it in Call of Duty and in Halo and stuff. When we lose the bums in Halo, I'm like, why are we losing to these bums? But then when I'm playing by myself, I have a completely different output. It's like, okay, I'm playing by myself. I'm playing in the team type atmosphere of a game. So I kind of understand that. So as long as you are willing to like kind of understand that aspect of it, I don't think there's a problem with playing by yourself. And I think the finals kind of lends to that. But the biggest thing is it depends on the post-launch support of the game. Like if they completely and keep adding things to the game that people want, and they flesh it out a little bit more, I think it might get to a point where that's the type of game that you kind of have to have a team to play in, because I don't care what you say, if you can't grasp it and you die a lot, like how Fortnite used to be before they added in like solo queue and stuff in. Because people didn't like playing Fortnite when it was just team. It was like, oh well, if I ain't got a team, I'm not playing Fortnite. Then they finally added solo queue, then they added duel. And once they started doing that, it got more people into the game. So that's the type of thing I think they definitely do need to do. But yeah, I just think it's a mentality. As long as you don't care about losing, then playing by yourself is cool. But you gotta at least enjoy the game and love the overall experience of it to be able to deal with team play in a solo play environment.
I mean, I think idle time has a lot to do with it too. Like a big metric for me that like there's always a clock running in my head of like, and that's just why, and I get it. It's not shade at Battlefield. It's just how it fits with me. One of the things that is hard for me with Battlefield is I don't like when you get killed, how long it takes you to get back to the fight.
I've said that before.
Yeah, like that's gameplay time to me, whereas, with Call of Duty, and again, you can feel however you feel about Call of Duty, that time is relatively quick. Right now, I don't necessarily like, particularly Modern Warfare 3, I don't like I don't feel like all maps based on their size are like suitable for like, say, free-for-all. Like it's like they're throwing us onto some very large maps for free-for-all, and I'm like, this is not doing it for me. But I think overall, like in the market, right? Because we're talking about how these games kind of sit and fit with players. And your question, Slow-Mo, was like how does your market, like how do you play in the market when you can't retain a player base that's oriented around teams? And one, I don't know the answer to that question. But I think, but the thing I wanted to point out is the people who seem to have figured it out, and I don't know why or how, is Overwatch, number one, but then to a lot of the Riot games, right? Because like,
oh yeah,
and a lot of it I see like the perfect formula for games like that. And again, I try not to give too much credit to live streamers, but I will say where I have seen like teams of people that like stick with a game is when one or two of them are live streamers, because that's what seems to help cohesively keep people on a game playing for like 6 months or a year, at a time as a squad. Overwatch, the only people that I ever fell in with that played consistently were people who, one or two of them like also live streamed. But yeah, Overwatch has definitely figured something out. Those Riot games have figured something out, and I don't entirely know what it is, but that I feel is like whatever it is that they're doing right, that's the formula these games need to figure out when they have a heavily team-oriented and team-based mechanic that relies on keeping people together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you about that when it comes to Riot games. If you look at like League of Legends and Valorant, like they dropped Valorant like in 2020. Now think about the let me bring up Sony with Factions 2. Sony was trying to develop Factions 2, and they would have loved to have had the kind of success that Riot Games has had with Valorant on one platform. Games now on consoles. None of the games are actually on consoles at all. And that game is Valorant's gotta be top 5 every single month when it comes to monthly active users and getting that kind of consistent high number of players on their platform and playing that game, compared to like so many other developers out there that try to do what they do and fail. And I don't get it either, because Valorant is definitely a game that requires coordination. Like you can't just be out, running around like a chicken with your head cut off and think you're going to be super successful. That's just not how the game is designed. It's like Counter-Strike combined with Overwatch. Right. But it works, and it's just Riot Games has got the formula. Like they definitely do. Like when they take consoles seriously, people need to watch out. Because I think they will take a lot of players from other games on consoles when they finally do that.
I will say, going back to what what Logic said about, the time, like with Battlefield. I agree with that 100%. I think the only reason it doesn't bother me is because I enjoy the process in the game of seeing if my teammates are going to pick me up in the game. It irritates me to all hell when I'm watching all these people running around on the map and I'm literally not even 10 feet away from them, and they're so preoccupied in their own little bubble that they don't pick me up, and I'm right next to them. But
hey, look, I'm gonna tell you something real quick. I feel you on that, but for some reason when I play Road Company, I don't pick nobody up.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, though.
I'm too busy murdering people.
This is the thing. Yeah. Okay, so this is the thing. I posted it on Twitter. I think it's like 2 weeks ago. But it's the thing. I won't sacrifice my own life to pick somebody up. I'm not gonna like run if I see you in the middle of the door and there's a whole bunch of gunfire coming through it, and I gotta expose myself to pick you up. I'm not gonna do that unless I know I'm safe. But if I'm like around the corner and you're like engaging a person in front of me and I'm literally behind you, pick me up. I mean, or people pick you up when you're like taking a flag and you're on the other side of the base and the rest of the team is fighting on one side and you like kind of flank them. And then one person has a chance to pick you up, but he doesn't pick you up before he engages the enemy. I'm sitting there like, bro, pick me up. 2 people are better than 1. But so those are the things that I like.
I agree with you.
Let's just say I like that dynamic about it. So that's kind of the chess game that I'm playing with myself. Like, do I respond? Do I revive myself? Or do I give my teammates a chance to pick me up? Because I know myself when I'm playing, I'm always looking like after I kill, anytime I'm reloading my gun in that game, I always do a 360 around me to see if I need to pick somebody up that's safe. Every time because that's like my little routine. If you ever look at my gameplay, I always spin around in a complete circle as I'm reloading. Like, okay, do I need to pick somebody up? Because guess what? The name of the game is Battlefield. How are you supporting your teammates? The best way to get points in the game and level up is by picking up people, giving ammo to people, doing things like this. So I'm trying to do everything in the game. So that's why I keep myself at the top of the scoreboard. So it's always about the score in the game for me. That's how you get at the top. You don't have to have as many kills.
You're gonna hate what I'm about to say. Okay?
I know I'm gonna hate what you're gonna say because you're one of those gun ho people that just want to get 150 kills and two pickups. I already know who you are. Compared to me, I'll have 90 kills and 29 people I picked up.
In Road Company, I sometimes I will main the player Saint, who's a healer. He's a medic. I won't even select in the beginning. I won't even select the primary weapon because I'll use the initial money that they give you to select a perk that allows me to revive people faster. When I choose a role, I go in. I go all in, and when I play a Saint, I most of the time I'm winning because I get like a dozen revives in that match, and then I'll finally, after I've accumulated all this money through killing people with just the pistol and reviving people and whatnot, that I'll go get a primary weapon halfway through the match and get my kills then. But like when I play a role, I'm doing that role. And when my role is to murder people, I go all in.
But
okay, so like my role is
to murder people.
No.
Every role you play in the game, if you have a gun, your role is to kill people unless you.
Hey, they give you a gun by default. They give you a gun by default. You got no choice, okay? If your role is a medic, pick me up and let me murder them, or keep healing me as I'm murdering them, like an Overwatch. Like, heal me, keep your heals on me while I'm out here styling on them. When you're not healing me, I got a problem.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And it's like these movement kitties who on Call of Duty, you play domination
God,
or
bunnies.
You play domination or hardpoint, and these mofos don't play the objective at all.
No, not at all. No. But this is also why I stick to modes like TDM and Kill Confirmed and Call of Duty, because the objective mode, I guess I get frustrated when it's an objective based mode and I'm the only one doing the objective. And that's typically happens when I'm not playing with a full squad. And so I get frustrated that I'm the only one doing it and everyone else is just doing whatever. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
It'd be like that a lot of nights, but like the worst, like the nights I get frustrated and like have to take my headset off and like back away from the PC for a little bit is when I play Kill Confirmed and I literally see dudes running by the tags. I'm like, dude, it's
come on now.
It's a KD oriented game. Even it's Kill Confirmed, but it's still about getting your kills. But you're so you're so much trying to dog the team out, you're not even picking up the tags. I'm like, you can't even be bothered. I'm like, that's some lazy shit. That's some lazy.
Like Taz the other day.
Yeah, I was just about to say it.
He said, y'all gonna feel bad, bro. This dude has 17 kills and 0 tags picked up.
Yeah, he was like, Slow-Mo, you about to be real mad at me. The match is almost over. I'm like, we winning. What we talking about? Why am I about to be mad? And the match was over, and then I looked at the scoreboard. That was like 0 confirms. Are you serious right now? He just started laughing because I'm just like, I can't believe you right now. But yeah, that does irk me, and I know that we kind of been on this topic for a minute. Like we can move on to our next topic, which I think is pretty relevant when it comes to why people buy certain platforms and for certain games that they kind of feel are synonymous with certain platforms. And I think one of those is Persona, the Persona series with PlayStation. Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5 and 5 Royal all launched on PlayStation first. They were exclusive games to PlayStation that Atlas, the developer, and Sega, the publisher, for whatever reason, just kind of felt like PlayStation was the platform for them. And we never really understood why before. They always just went with PlayStation. But it's been for a few years, I've seen them kind of speak about how they were just kind of realizing that the PC community really liked Persona games. And when they launched Persona 4 Golden, it sold really well for a game that was extremely old. And we know we've seen since earlier this year, I think it was the Xbox Summer Showcase, where they revealed that one of their new IPs, and it's got a weird name, I keep forgetting the name of it, but one of their new IPs and Persona 5 Tactica and the remaster of Persona 3, which is going to be Persona 3 Reload, are all being marketed by Xbox and launching in Game Pass. And so it's kind of pretty common sense at this point when you see how Sega and Atlas have been moving with the Persona franchise for the past 2 years, that they are close to revealing Persona 6 for the first time. Likely will be revealed for the first time sometime in 2024. And it's likely going to be multi-platform based upon some slides that are out there where they were showing their older model of release on one platform, then eventually release on other platforms. And then they got their current model, which is just its releases on everything. So I guess I'm not certain, Forte, if you've ever played Persona or not, but what are your thoughts about Persona 6 likely being a multi-platform game on all platforms at launch?
I think it's great. It's once again the times it's understanding the demographic and the times have kind of changed a lot when it comes to that. I think the fact that PC has become so much more prevalent, going past 2020, 2019 and stuff like that, easier to be on PC. Consoles pretty much being mini PCs now, ever since we switched over to x86 architecture. I think that kind of basically helped with the adoption of a lot of these games that normally would just be console only. I also think the fact that they already pretty much tapped out their console market, I think, when it comes to like the saturation of it, because
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo Switch is a place that Persona games come out on. Nintendo, PlayStation was already getting them. Xbox just started getting a huge wave of them over the course of last generation, and really ramping up this generation with a lot of stuff coming to Game Pass, especially with like Persona 3 Persona 3 and stuff. So I think it's like a myriad of different things that's kind of impacting that decision. But the fact that think about it, the fact that PlayStation themselves, one of their major partners, now are putting their games on PC. So if PlayStation feels like they can do it with their first party games, why can't Persona, or why can't Sega with Atlas, do the same thing? So I think it was just kind of the fact that times are changing, and then your major partner that you usually put those games on, when it comes to the mature standpoint, at least, they're doing it with their first party now. They may not be doing it day and day, but they're doing it. And that shows that there is a crossover on PC, even if it's small and minute compared to their console base, it's still revenue that they want to go after.
Gotcha, yeah. Logic, what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, to me, there's a lot of commentary out there that it's about, business relationships, and it's like, the comment that, Atlas seems to have a strong relationship with Xbox because it's, recently, flooded its entire catalog of Persona games onto the platform through Game Pass. Mm-hmm. I don't think that a single iteration of one deal through a subscription service is indicated of a strong relationship. In comparison to, right, Atlas releasing those games initially as exclusives on PlayStation for 27 years. I don't think those things are really comparable. So I don't agree so much that there's a lot of tea leaves to be read from, deals. What I will say is, the thing that I immediately started looking at was, what's the employee base of Atlas, and have they been ramping up? Because if you're going to go multi-console, multi-platform, that's a significantly larger development team, right, that you need in order to release those games concurrently. It does look like they have been increasing their size. So not a ton of growth in the last couple of years. They've only added what looks like maybe 16 more employees from 2019. I'm sorry, I said 2 years. I don't know, for over the last 4 years. From 2019 to actually that was over a 3-year span. So from 2019 to about 2021, I guess that's why I said it. They added 16 more employees. But overall, since they were acquired by Sega in 2013, and then kind of split off as their own business unit in 2014, they have been growing at a pretty steady pace. So when was Persona 5 released?
It was like 2016, I think. It was released on PS3 and PS4, I think. I'll have to double check it, but I do feel like it was a little while ago. Like it,
it's like 2016. So to me, that's the big indicator that I would look at, is how much larger has the team grown since the last time they did.
It was September 2016. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'd be looking at, is how much larger has the team grown since, and it's not insignificant. I actually now I see the chart. So at the time they released Persona 5, they were somewhere between 120 and 210 employees. So let's just call it 165 employees. So they've essentially almost doubled the size of their employee base since they released Persona 5 to today. So that seems to me to be an indicator that they could be very well heading for a multi-platform release. You don't double the size of a development team just to do the same size of project, right, that you did last time.
Right, yeah, the same scope of game, with the same game design that you've always done. I do wonder if, because, they've done a lot of kind of like spin-off kind of games. They've got like the dance games that are themed around Persona. They've got a fighting game, I think. They've got Tactica, which is a XCOM style of tactics game that I love, and I actually played it for the first time last night while I was waiting for people at my job to get their head out of their butts. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But I think it's pretty good. You know, as a tactics game, not the best, but you know, what was something that you would always kind of notice with these Persona games is that it's very story driven and the story's pretty good. So and a lot of people really enjoy the characters. So I liked it. But I wonder if they are outsourcing these very different style of games. Like, for example, Persona 5 Strikers has a completely different kind of combat to it. And it's very, I think, very polarizing. Some people hated it. Some people liked it. Or no, loved it. I don't think there's anyone that was like in the middle. Everyone was just like, I can't stand the combat in this game, but the story is so good that I want to keep playing it. And I wonder if Atlas is just doing the story and then kind of working with other teams that are good at making those style of games that are different than the turn-based RPG, traditional turn-based RPG they do with the mainline Persona games, and that's how they're getting all this content out. Because literally, like, since Persona 5 came out, there has been Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, there's been that dance game, there's Tactica. It's just, and then they did a remaster for Reload, and it's just, in addition to all the ports that have gone to PC and Xbox and Switch, that's a lot of work. And yeah, doubling your studio will help you kind of reach those goals and hit those milestones in a timely manner and get the games out on time. But when you're learning how to do completely different kind of games completely, I kind of feel like you definitely had to outsource that to someone else. I want to look it up, but I just I don't want to do that while I'm hosting the show at the moment. But you know, just a thought there.
Just a thought.
Yeah, are you guys going to check any of these games out? Have either of you played Tactica yet?
Not yet.
I haven't played Tactica. I mean, I've gone back and dabbled. I am not a JRPG fan. That's kind of one of my nopes. I will say it's not maybe quite a full-on nope right now. So I've gone back and dabbled with the games in Game Pass. I think I went back and played like what was the PSP version of the Persona 3? Was that Persona 3 Portable?
Yeah, Persona 3 Portal.
Yeah, so I played a little bit of Persona 3 Portable. Actually, a decent chunk of Persona 3 Portable, and then I think checked out. Are you
gonna play Reload? Reload is like a month or two away now. I think it's like in February, early February, I think.
Nah, man, I'm about to add finals to my PvP rotation, so I don't know that I'm gonna have time for anything else.
Okay. If you playing the finals, you know what to do, man. No,
I'm definitely gonna be getting with y'all. Yeah, no, I mean, I just the JRPGs just aren't kind of in like my primary windshield of stuff that I go after to play.
I got you. Forte, are you gonna play it all?
I gotta get through other Persona games first.
Oh, well, look, that's a no, because these games are long. Okay, like Persona 5. Now, Royal, I think, takes a little bit. They kind of refined it with Royal. If you're gonna play it, I would say play Persona 5 Royal because it has more characters.
That's the one I started playing.
Yeah. But so regular Persona 5, the palaces, aka the dungeons, aren't as good. Mementos is trash, and they made that better. And then they also added more characters and a little bit more to the story, and it's better. Royal is just better in every way, although it's not like a drastic improvement. But it's a lot of the little things they did made it worthwhile. I've been slowly playing Royal on through it was initially through Xbox Game Pass while it was still there, and then when it left Game Pass, I went and it was on discount, so I just bought it on discount so that I could finish it up. But I own that through Xbox, the Xbox platform. I can still play it on PC. It's just through the Xbox app. And I have Persona 4 Golden on Steam. So I really enjoy those games. Even though I haven't finished Royal, I did beat Persona 5, the regular Persona 5 on PlayStation 4 twice. And I had to do it twice because I was trying to get my your confidant levels really high, and it's like almost impossible to do that on your first run in regular Persona anyway. So I'm looking forward to 6. I want to see what the new characters are going to be like. I like turn-based RPGs. I've always had ever since back in the day with Final Fantasy games back in the day. I've always been into them. So I'm interested in seeing how it looks on my PC, and I don't have to play it on those consoles. But anywho, anything else that you guys wanted to say before we move on?
You are something, bro.
What?
Just talking about, stop belittling people that play on console, man.
I am not. People can play wherever they want to play. All I'm saying is that I'm glad that I don't have to play the next one on a little box. That's all. Anyway,
on a little box.
Look, if you ride a moped, you should be confident in what you ride and not worry about the people riding motorcycles.
You ride them. but listen, that at least that moped is street legal though. It's street legal. It may not go as fast as your CBR 1100 or 1400, but it does go. It goes over 25 miles an hour.
Hey, and some people are out there riding Vespas, right? They're riding the high-end moped, so they should have respect for themselves for that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
It's cool.
So moving on. We got some changes at Activision Blizzard, as well as just some organizational changes under the entire Xbox leadership in general. And so Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard King, is as we knew this before the deal was completed, that he wasn't going to be staying because he's clearly kind of part of the reason why they needed to sell the company in the first place. And I'm fairly certain the majority of developers that work there did not want to stay under a guy that has done some of the things that he's alleged to have done. That said, he announced once the deal was somewhat completed, they closed the deal. It's not, it's still not out of the court stuff yet, but he announced he was leaving at the end of the year. And then this week we found out that his last day would be December 29th. And I think it was somewhat of a surprise. They didn't actually put someone in a new role for Bobby Kotick, but instead kept the ABK leadership as is. Some other people are leaving, a part of the board, what's her name? Lulu Cheng, I believe. Who's the COO? Who clearly, to my eyes, I knew from the very start, this woman was trying to get the bag. All she cared about was getting that money and cashing out. She was fighting a good fight in social media. Good for her. Good for her. Get your money. Get your money, lady.
Let me set the stage on this. So, and she's I couldn't catch what you said her role, but she's the CCO, so she's the chief communications officer. So
okay.
The head of PR. But literally, what we've seen play out is Bobby Kotick is the white Lucius Lyon.
Yes, sir.
Right. Lulu, I can't remember. I can't remember what Lucius's younger wife was.
His younger wife?
His younger wife. That's Lulu.
It was like Pookie or something like that. Or Kiki. Whatever the heck her name was. Yeah.
Cookie used to call her something, but but
Cookie, I forgot what Cookie used to call her. Yeah.
Right. But Lulu is Lucius Lyon's younger wife. That's the role. Yeah. That's the role she's with. She's just about the bag. She wants to get her part that's due to her. That's what it was all about.
Absolutely.
And she played her role to perfection. she is up out of here as far as of January. And something a little different. Well, I guess there's a little bit of a discussion we can have about this. Matt Booty will be overseeing the existing leadership of Activision Blizzard after he was already put in a very similar role as overseeing the leadership of ZeniMax Media, the previous publisher that they acquired. And so now Matt Booty is basically the head of all of software for Microsoft Gaming, it seems. If you think about his old role was head of Xbox Game Studios. Alan Hartman now has that role. So there's someone else that's managing the 15 plus studios that are Xbox Game Studios. That's like Ninja Theory, Obsidian, 343, that's all of them. And then he's got ZeniMax, someone reporting to him from ZeniMax, and he's got all the ABK leadership people now reporting to him. In my eyes, I feel like Matt Booty has this is a classic case of failing upward. Because I don't think he's done anything to justify this level of a promotion. But here he is. Whoa. I'm hearing. Where's the feedback coming from?
I don't know. I hear it too, though.
Yeah, Forte, I think that's you. Okay, he might be trying to fix it. Whoa.
So Matt Booty is Andre Lyon.
He's who?
He's Andre Lyon. He's the older brother who has no talent.
Oh, yeah.
No talent in the family, but yet he still keeps getting the bag. He still keeps getting promoted. He still keeps getting put in charge of stuff.
These Empire comparisons are killing me. That's a good one though. That's a good one. Yeah, he's the older brother that just feels like because he was born first, he has to get everything. Right. But yeah,
every time he's questioned on what is his value and what he always points back to his education, his past experience. He doesn't really have any talent, but he's got that piece of paper that Matt Booty's always leaning on. Because where did he come out? Did he come out of Midway?
Oh no, Matt Booty he may have worked for Midway, but I know his last role before he became head of Xbox Game Studios was he was running Mojang in Minecraft. That's what he was doing before he got tapped to take over Phil's job of first party.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was. I was looking at what I don't know what I've called him his performance into question. What people have always pointed back to is what his past experience was before he came to Microsoft. And I want to say I thought I saw that came from Midway or some other company. And
the question is somebody going to try to assassinate Matt Booty after he leaves the award show?
What? Why is this a question? Oh, never mind. I know why. Y'all are killing me. Y'all are killing me today.
Is somebody gonna try and push Rhonda down the steps?
Yeah, I missed that show.
Oh man, yeah, y'all are too much. Watch Empire. If you don't get any of these references, watch Empire with Terrence Howard and what is the actress's name?
I don't know. Her name's
Taraji P. Henson.
Yeah, Taraji.
Yes, thank you, Taraji P. Henson. Oh, and the guy that
you see the downfall of what's the name? Because
what's the guy's name? His sister is Jussie Smollett, or as what does Dave Chappelle call him? I forgot what Dave Chappelle called him.
That man had a hard time after that show.
Oh
man, we have gone far off the beaten path. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring.
Me and Jonathan Majors are gonna be hanging out.
Good God. Hey man, well listen, man. At least Jonathan Major. Well,
Juicy, that's it. Juicy Smollett. That's his name. Okay, I don't know who in Xbox leadership is Juicy Smollett. I don't know who we would call that person. But anyway, probably somebody from 343. Anyway, to get back to what we were talking about, these organizational changes. I initially was a little. I'm still kind of not necessarily perturbed with Matt Booty being promoted like this. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, like somehow, like Phil Harrison keeps getting, positions to destroy platforms, but people keep hiring him. I don't know. He must be a nice guy or something.
I remember when he got hired for Stadia, and we all said, "Well, he gonna destroy."
It's over. It's over. He's a Grim Reaper. Like you just hired the person to kill your platform, and it's dead. But no, but I was initially really kind of like wondering because I remember talk from Xbox leadership that Matt Booty when they acquired ZeniMax Media initially, and people was like, "Oh, is Matt Booty going to run this?" And the talk from them was, "Well, he's got a lot on his plate as is, so no, he's not going to run it." But now. He is in charge of all of them, but them promoting Alan Hartman, who I don't know this guy's experience whatsoever, but them promoting him to Matt Booty's role relieves him of having to, manage the studios and make sure they're still hitting milestones and keeping on target for release dates and managing the content, approving of games that will be developed and whatnot. And all I can say is I hope Alan is better at that than Matt has been, because I haven't been very impressed with Matt Booty's resume when it comes to that. And clearly, I don't know what they've been cooking that they haven't shown. We know there's a lot of stuff that's been announced. There's a lot of stuff but I think with Matt's Xbox Game Studios, there've been a lot of games that have some very interesting development things pop up, and as well as games that have been announced for years ago that we don't have any kind of updates on. So I'm just like, what are y'all doing? It's the same thing I've said about like PlayStation first party. Like, what are y'all doing? Because I don't see nothing. I don't know nothing. You're not talking about nothing outside of Insomniac. Like, what are you doing? And I kind of feel like that about that leg of the Xbox content and software. If it wasn't for ZeniMax Media, good grief, what would they have provided over the past 2 years?
That's true. Very true.
So, anyway, I'm done rambling. Logic, what are your thoughts about these organizational changes and the content from Xbox going forward?
So I feel the same way. I think you guys have heard me, make the analogy to NFL football coaches. Like, I don't know why Pete Carroll kept getting hired. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, good grief.
Kept getting hired. You had Belichick was the one, who kept getting rehired, who finally, stuck the landing and went on to build a dynasty. But
Pete Carroll stayed at Seattle the entire time. I was thinking about North Turner. I don't know why North Turner kept getting hired, but my bad. Football analogy. Go ahead,
yes.
Man.
I'm with you. I don't understand why Matt Booty keeps having what to me seems to be, business failure after business failure after business failure, but yet keeps getting handed more and more keys to the kingdom. That seems to not have been a formula that has yielded success. So, but in all of this, right, my biggest problem, and so I'm very happy, where Sarah Bond has wound up. And I think you guys heard me talk about, when we've been on BRAP and people have asked, where we thought, people should wind up. Johanna Fares is at the top of my list for a person who should have come out of this, kind of, with a position of prestige, and her name has not been mentioned. And I don't get it. I'm like, you're helming what is arguably one of the most difficult franchises to maneuver.
She runs Call of Duty, right?
She runs Call of Duty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she came out of the NFL. She was the head of esports right within Call of Duty, and then was fleeted up to actually be the SVP and general manager of that entire business unit. And theoretically, it's one of the key reasons why you purchase Activision. And I'm not talking about for the IP. I've talked about because you're looking for the talent that has figured out how to wire an incredibly massive production pipeline, make it run consistently, and make it resilient enough to deal with misses. That last part is the incredibly key part of talent to me in managing a production pipeline. It's not just that Call of Duty gets out every year. It's the fact that you can have a thing like Sledgehammer can't get the thing to land in a year, and you ratchet Treyarch out of that cycle into place, and they pull off getting an iteration out, and you don't skip a beat, and you wrap Sledgehammer back, and everybody's talked about, Sledgehammer being, impinged and impugned, right, in getting out Modern Warfare 3. But I've played Modern Warfare 3, and quite honestly, a lot of the Sturm and the Drang and wailing and gnashing of teeth, at least for the multiplayer, is nowhere equivalent to what's actually going on in that game.
Agreed.
And again, this is where we get a lot of the stuff that gets in the gossip cycle and the rumor cycle. And oh my God, they push the developers to crank a version of the game out under duress, and the campaign isn't that long, and they had to run things through Infinity Ward. I'm like, well, no crap. It's Infinity Ward's. Right, it's their continuity, right? It's their multiverse, right? As far as that version of Call of Duty, it's just like when we were doing different versions of Need for Speed. I'm like, if you're a junior studio and you come in and you're going to do an iteration of Underground, you're probably going to have to run that continuity by the people who are helming Underground, right, to keep it all in sync. And so, again, Sledgehammer comes around out of cycle, has to deal with some adversity, but they figure it out, right? Of all of the content that they have available, they figure out a thing that can be done and that allows them to get an iteration out. And that, again, as far as I can tell, as far as I've actually played, I'm happy with it, right? I mean, it's a year where I don't reset back to zero and start all over again, and I can appreciate that for the way that game is playing out. So again, after doing all of that, we do this whole shuffle, and the name Johanna Fares is nowhere on that roster. I don't get that. So I don't know.
Maybe they didn't want to. Well, they really didn't change too much of the structure of of how Activision Blizzard King like Mike Ybarra is still. I thought Mike Ybarra would take over for Bobby Kodak's role, but he's still head of Blizzard. They didn't change him at all. I wonder if they just kind of felt like we need to root out all of the issues culture wise with ABK. But
he also probably didn't want it.
Say what?
He also probably didn't want it.
Maybe that's true. Maybe he's fine where he is with Blizzard, but I kind of feel like you got to remember
he was already close to the top when he was at Xbox, and maybe he doesn't want to be that. I mean, he is bad enough. He's in his eyes. I don't know what his situation is that he's back now, but in his eyes, he's like, well, if I'm going to be back, I just don't want to be as close to the situation as I was before.
But also understand, like when I say what I said about Johanna, right? In all this shuffle, right? In all the Rolodex of names that was listed off of people who were going to roles or staying in their roles, her name was not mentioned.
Yeah, it wasn't mentioned at all.
So what that tells me, and Microsoft obviously has a very hyper specific structure, right? Employee structure and titling structure, right? In terms of pay scales. Maybe she is not the equivalent of a VP, SVP, general manager, et cetera, within the Microsoft structure, which again, to me, is problematic. I would have expected out of this announcement to have a laser clear picture of where the head of the Call of Duty franchise landed. And it's very strange to me that it's not included in this announcement, and paints the picture that she's not considered the equivalent of some of these other people, which to me is also a problem. I mean, Mike Ibarra has done what he's done in Diablo 4. I like Diablo 4, but I don't personally think that what Blizzard has done with all of its missteps with Overwatch and some other things, a lot of the things that came out of, and then the whole thing with, and I don't remember all the names now, but the old head of Blizzard leaving, Mike being raised along with his female counterpart as co-president, her not being paid the equivalent of her male counterparts, and then kind of getting some kind of tchotchke prize and then saying, no, thank you, but I don't need that, and her leaving, right? And kind of Mike Ibarra kind of fell into the into the position of leadership of Blizzard, kind of somebody else's choice.
He got it because he wasn't there when all of the really bad stuff went down. He was literally the last executive standing. He's the only one whose hands were clean of the rot that was there.
Yeah, because the only other person in the mix quit. So I don't know. Just not super satisfied with the shakeup and what it looks like, but we'll go on and see.
I do wonder when it comes to Call of Duty, you spoke about how the machine keeps going, and this is a game that is, if it's not number one, this might be the only year where it didn't end up being the number one sold game of the year due to Hogwarts Legacy. But to have that run for well over a dozen years is just it's unheard of. And I wonder if they didn't make any changes with her, not because they didn't think that she was worthy or they didn't want to give her due, but what if there's just literally no one else to keep this train on the tracks? What if they don't have anyone to do that?
And that's possible. What I'm saying is then I would have, again, this is an emotional preference for me because of my attachment to Call of Duty and because of me studying that leadership and knowing who's who in the mix. I would have wanted or expected her to have been named. I would have wanted her name to be mentioned in stride with Mike Ibarra. But the fact that Ibarra gets mentioned and she doesn't paints the picture to me that hierarchically, right, that Ibarra's in a position that is seen as more prestigious and higher ranking than hers. And I don't know what this means. And I don't know if it means that maybe there's some potential shakeup looking at going, that they're looking at with regards to Call of Duty leadership. I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know that her not being named in stride with all of these other things means that her position is secure and they're not looking at shuffling that, but haven't announced it yet.
Gotcha. Forte, what are your thoughts about all this?
No, I agree. I think in general it ultimately comes back to continuity and stuff. I do think, like I said, I don't know what the situation with Mike was and why that happened, but I also think that Matt Booty, it's like, okay, so it's like, it's so many different things that's happened worldwide since 2020, and I do understand the fact that first party has definitely failed a lot when it comes to their offerings from the first party standpoint, and that definitely needs to be addressed. I think the biggest thing comes back to, is that totally his fault, or is that a failure of Microsoft as a whole, and they're not going to just hold the one person for basically the transgressions of the whole organization at that point. So I do think that they are probably going to move forward a little bit more cautiously with the things that they're doing. I don't see another upward, momentum change when it comes to particularly him in the near future when it comes to that, because I just think that right now they're trying to solidify each position. You're going to have your studio heads, the people that are going to be at the head of the studios, and you're going to have the people that are at the heads of, like Mike is at the head of Blizzard, and then you have whoever's going to be over Activision, and all those people are going to communicate basically to Matt Booty and then to Sarabon or whatever that structure is going to look like in the future. And they're just going to have a lot more. They're going to be wearing, I think one person is going to be wearing basically one hat, and they're just going to be just talking to each other versus it being this linear line where Sarah was on one side of it, then you got Mike on another side, not Mike, then you got Matt Booty on another side of it, and you really don't know where the blame is going to like really be thrust at. This way, you know, it's all basically going to be under Booty. When it comes to software, it's all under Booty. So we got to get software out the door. You should know everything that's happening at all of these different studios, all of these different publishers and these other you know, series of Xbox. You need to know all that stuff. So now there is no did Phil see Halo Infinite when they first showed it off the first time,
or Redfall.
Or Redfall, exactly. So we know who the person is. This is the person.
Yeah.
Even
it's
though
going to
before,
be, did Matt play this game
exactly.
before it released? Because they can't, you know, I know Phil said like something to the, I don't think he said exactly like, we'll have another Redfall at some point. I think he meant, I think what he meant more was.
He believed in the studio and that he would still bet. He said he would bet on.
No, not that part. I'm talking about like when it comes to games in the future that would disappoint, that they would have games in the future that would disappoint people in the future. Like what Redfall is like, it's basically, it just wasn't super unique. Things happen, which I don't quite agree with that, because I can point to other platforms where the games aren't that bad. Like where you're hearing that like developers who work there was like, please cancel this game. Like I don't want, but we don't want to release this. We don't believe in it, clearly. And you know, it's some things fell between the cracks there. Like now, I think when Redfall came out, there was a lot of, in the gaming community, people wanting, like, pointing the finger at various different, you know, people, and not really knowing who was held responsible for that. You're right, Forte. We know who's going to be held responsible for this now. It's going to come down. Yeah.
But I mean,
go ahead.
But I mean, my problem is but Matt Booty should have been responsible before. Like he
should have been.
I mean, he should have seen. I mean, this is one of the problems that we talk about, right? In one of the famous use cases, right, that we point to is Booty should have seen the Halo Infinite trailer. And
with Halo Infinite, yeah. Right. Yeah, when that game, absolutely. Yeah, Redfall, no, but yeah, Halo Infinite is definitely, he has to own that. Yeah,
and he should have known what was going on at Undead Labs, and he should have known what was going on at the Initiative, and he should know what's going on. I don't think that the Coalition is a problem, but
no, I don't think so.
But I mean, but the whole thing you've mentioned, the whole thing about what's going on with Fable and like Matt Booty, not really necessarily being assertive and not necessarily managing the portfolio and driving the timeline. There are other instances of stuff that is in his bailiwick that it does not seem like he's been on top of the game. And like look, he should have been, before this, he should have been the Karl Malone, right? He shouldn't have been the John Stockton. We're not looking for you to hand off passes. We're looking for you to be accountable.
That analogy has not aged well. Let's not, like, we don't want him being the Karl Malone at this point of anything. Let's find another power forward, Elijah one. Let's go. This is a center. He's a center, but still.
Tim Duncan.
I will say my other one analogy that I realized in my whole talk about Johanna Faris, I realized she is the Shine Williams, the Shine Johnson of Empire. She's the one who was really the power behind the throne and really the talent, but she's not getting her flowers. Gotcha. Let's just hope she doesn't get sacked like Shine did.
No, I think she's good. Yeah, I would just like a lot of, I think for a lot of younger generations, I think our audience is kind of like, mid-30s for the most part. But a lot of younger generations, when they hear Karl Malone, they just hear about all the the really bad stuff, and not the fact that he's a Hall of Fame player. That's why I was just
I should modernize my analogies.
No problem, man. No, but go ahead. Go ahead and finish your point.
No, that was it. Sorry, I didn't. Sorry, I think I interrupted Forte when I broke in with that.
Oh, okay.
No, I think No. I think, like I said, I can't remember where did I leave off at. No, I just think in general with Matt Booty, I just think that we kind of got to just look at it. I mean, look at it fairly. I mean, like I said, I think they made the decision with Halo to retain all these people. That was over 2 years ago. So they're not going to let those people go due to all the stuff that happened at like official, the original Microsoft studios and stuff. But I do think going forward, this does open up a lot of criticism for him if something like this was to happen again. Phil basically, if you look at those leaked emails and when he was communicating back and forth with everybody at Xbox, he was talking about it. He was like, we got to do better with our release timing, our release scheduling, how we're going to go about getting and acquiring games. It was a lot of different things that he talked about inside of those private emails that we did get a chance to see. And I think a lot of that stuff started back in 2020, I think it was like 2021, 2022. So now that they have, another publisher underneath them, they're basically saying, okay, this is what you're in charge of. You're in charge of all of this stuff. And, if something was like, I guarantee he did. It probably was a hard conversation too. He was like, hey, you're going to be over all this stuff and you need to be on top of, where these studios and where these publishers and where these entities are when it comes to the deliverables. And we can't have another Redfall. I mean, we can't even have another Halo. Halo wasn't as bad as Redfall, but we can't have anything like that no more, especially with the perception that Xbox has right now versus what they want to be having going into 2026, 2027.
Yeah. And to not make it seem like we're just waiting on Matt Booty's downfall. Like if these games hit, then he's gonna get. It's like the quarter. Here's my sports analogy. It's like the quarterback of a football team. When you win, you get all the accolades. It's all because of you. You're the reason why they won. And when you lose, you gotta take all the blame. It's your fault. And that's the way it works. And if if their games hit in the next 2 years, when they got like their content pipeline starts to flow and they're getting their 4 games, each quarter there's a first party game dropping like they want. And if that's working and the high quality games are hitting and people are, gravitating towards the platform because of that, yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for that because he's the guy that's in charge of all the software. That's the reason that's happening. But if it's not, I don't want to hear anybody try to defend him when, that's his job, like you got to take the blame with the praise. So,
my thing is, and I apologize, this is going to be another perhaps bad sports analogy, right? But I mean, but is it going to be, with him, is it going to be a Tim Brady situation or a Ben Roethlisberger situation, right? Meaning,
oh man,
you
call him Tim Brady?
Tom Brady.
Tim Brady. I was like, who is Tim Brady?
Look, I am not as familiar with Roethlisberger's career. I'm looking
harder name. You got the harder name.
I'm looking at Roethlisberger's career. And
Roethlisberger got Brady. 27 syllables in his name, and you got Tom wrong. I'm just saying. Go ahead,
let's
man.
Get back on topic. My point is that when Roethlisberger won, we don't give Roethlisberger a ton of credit, right? Because he had a lot of things put around him, and we were like,
he was a game manager when he won. Yeah.
I mean, he should have won, and he really didn't pitch in that much of a help, right? He just kind of showed up, and so Matt Booty's going to get credit if things go well. I mean, is it because he just showed up to work every day? I mean, or was he Brady who really pushed the team downfield and really pulled the whole thing together?
Shout out to you, knowing like Tom Brady, GOAT.
Anyway,
is he? But this no, is he? Well, listen, Tom Brady's retired. We got to pick a new GOAT, and Patrick Mahomes ain't the GOAT anymore. I think it's gonna be. Is he gonna be better than Mr. Irrelevant?
Can we get back the game? Man, this is about to turn to a football podcast. Moving on. PlayStation has hit 50 million consoles sold. So congratulations to PlayStation on that. I don't know if that means they have hit their target number of units they wanted. So this year, I think it was supposed to be like 26 or something like that. I don't know.
25
like
million, I think for the fiscal year.
For the fiscal year, yeah.
I don't think they've hit the number yet. I don't think.
Okay. Okay. Positive. But you know, with the number of sales they're getting, and from what I've seen, they probably are trending higher than where they were a few months ago. So maybe they will actually be able to hit it before their fiscal year, which I think is April or May. I think somewhere in springtime is where their fiscal year ends. So we'll see how that goes. But it's good to see that you know the platform is getting out there and the sales are happening. What are your thoughts about that, Forte? As a GameStop manager, that is part of the reason why these things are selling, because you're out there selling them.
Listen, because you know it's nice to be out here selling all these consoles to all these people that want them. It's actually really interesting to see how many, like, it's a lot of people just buying them, especially with. It's even more interesting and exciting because, you know, Xboxes are like super dirt cheap on sale right now. Like you can get a Series S for like $200 to $150, and you get an X for $349 now, and you know, with Diablo 4 in a bundle, it's actually really interesting and really cool to see. And Xbox is selling really well too. I just think that PlayStation has a lot of stock out there, like a crazy amount of stock. But the fact that they have a Call of Duty bundle, and once again, most people are opting for that bundle in particular. Once again, speaking to the fact that people will always buy a system when the games that they want are available on that platform, and especially when they're upgrading and stuff. And we haven't even seen the major shift in people going over from PlayStation 4 and Xbox Ones. And that's the thing. I think more people probably upgraded from Xbox One to Xbox Series S and X than people that graduated from PS4 to PS5. I think that's the biggest thing too. PlayStation just has a bigger pot to pull from right now.
You mean comparatively by the percentages of the platform? Because I'm thinking probably just the size Xbox, of the PlayStation platform, they would have more.
Yeah, 120 million people have PS4s versus, we don't know the exact numbers, but it's rumored to be around 45 to 50 million for Xbox. It's a good chance that, I mean, percentage wise, there's more people still left on PlayStation 4 than on Xbox. And that's just a bigger pool for them to pull from. So unless the generation flips and Xbox can start, you know, really, really marketing the fact that Call of Duty is going to be on their platform, it's going to be next generation only. They could throw it in a box for, they could throw it in a bundle with the game or anything. And it's the next generation only for PlayStation 5 and Series X and S. Until that happens, I think you're going to really see the same thing continue, at least through the rest of this generation. It's ultimately going to come down to the next generation. But 50 million, I mean, they say they're going to sell 70 million they want to sell 70 million by the end of their fiscal year, which is in March, I believe.
I don't think it'd be that. So that would be another 20 million.
No, sorry. No, by the end of next year, by the end of fiscal year next year, it was 70 million. That's what it was. But no, I think that's the thing that's going to be really, really interesting and crazy. And then that's going to put them in line with PlayStation Pros coming out and everything. So it's a really good number, and people are buying these systems like crazy. The Call of Duty system is selling the best of all of them because people want Call of Duty, but the Spider-Man system's not too far behind. I think the only interesting other thing I will bring up on it is we don't really see a lot of the digital only SKU because they have EOL'd the standard original PlayStation digital and physical system. But I like the amount of physical ones they're sending with the disc drive already attached is kind of mind-boggling. I didn't expect that. I was expecting
they're trying to clear their inventory. They're trying to get as many of them out of there so they can kind of just get to the new SKU, which is basically a digital.
That's what I'm talking about. The new SKU
with a detachable. Oh,
No, that's what
okay.
I'm talking about. The ones that they're sending to the stores primarily are the ones with the attached disk drive
Oh, okay. Okay.
inside
I
of
see
it
what you mean.
already. So, but we do sell we have quite a few of the actual detachable drives for the digital ones. And I thought that was the way they were going to go about it. Like, hey, if you want a disk drive, here you go. But we're not going to have as many disk drive ones to sell. This would have been a perfect thing for them to do, knowing that people were going to buy the system anyways. And they didn't do that. So it's kind of interesting to see them make that move like that. But it's great because people are buying the system and it's selling out like crazy everywhere.
Cool. Logic, what's your thoughts on the PlayStation sales?
I mean, good. Sony is a platform owner company whose primary line of business is selling the software that goes on those consoles. So I mean they're doing what they need to do to get those things out there. I don't know that it's I mean, in the industry today, I guess what's significant is you look for drumbeat changes, and this isn't really a change in drumbeat, right? It's the same story that we had last generation. It's consistent in this generation. We don't know or see any market forces or consumer-based or customer-based dynamics that would really change it. We talked about the $50 price increase for the digital unit in some regions, and so it'll kind of be interesting to see how that plays out. I think the tail of the tape on the console right now is competition. And I've mentioned on Twitter that PlayStation 5 doesn't really have it right now. They've seeded the low end of the market for people who are indiscriminate about performance to Nintendo, and Nintendo kind of owns that part of the market. There's not really space for Sony to really muscle in on that customer demographic, within a 6 to 8 or 9 month time span before the Switch 2 comes out, even though we're starting to see, depressing Nintendo Switch sales, or declining Nintendo Switch 2, declining Switch sales. And so that market will just kind of be relatively flat and stagnant, I think, into next year. And then, the Xbox Series isn't, really changing how it's performing on the market, and there's no reason to know that it would change. I mean, their big apogee of their production life cycle, at least right now, was the release of Starfield and Forza. If that doesn't move the needle on console sales numbers, which as far as the data that we've seen to this point, it hasn't, then I don't know what they have in pipeline, coming up next or soon that would. So we would expect, their sales numbers to kind of, hold steady to where they are, which means it's just a PlayStation market. It's they're kind of masters of their own fate. That being said, there's, they are in control of the decisions that are going to determine whether or not their console, continues to sell as well as it has, or if there's a little more that they can eke out of the performance profile, to get them to sell faster, to hit that 25 million mark for the fiscal year. So it'll be interesting to see what they did. Obviously, they doubled down and got aggressive with, bundling Spider-Man going into this holiday season. So it'll kind of be interesting to see what they do going into the spring as far as things that they might do to get PlayStation 5 units to move even faster.
Yeah, for me, I think it's I think it's a good achievement for them to be able to make the sales they've made on the console in a year where I think software wise they've been very ho-hum. This year Spider-Man 2 is an awesome game. I had a great time with it. But that outside of their annual MLB The Show release, that like first party wise, that's the only software that they dropped this year, and they had a lot of their timed or third party exclusive stuff like Final Fantasy 16, which depending on who you speak to, if you speak to just your casual gamer, they probably really loved Final Fantasy 16. If you're like I think majority of the Final Fantasy hardcore community.
I call them a simp.
What? No.
I thought I heard you say simp. Okay. That's what I
Okay,
thought I
yeah,
heard.
I don't know how you thought that. Anyway,
I know.
The majority, I think, of the Final Fantasy community kind of was somewhat disappointed with Final Fantasy 16, but software wise, I don't think they nor their showcase really showed them to have what people expect from them. But then that is still kind of like a hardcore gamer argument, because if you look at what is the games that are played the most on the PlayStation platform, they are not PlayStation first party games. They are third party live service games.
I mean, it's kind of true across both consoles. I mean, I mentioned on Twitter that we do all this fighting and kicking each other in the shins over console wars, and I'm like, I'm looking at the MPD numbers of player engagement across the two platforms. They are literally the same list,
almost literally the same. Yeah, and they become more closer to being the same ever since Roblox launched on PlayStation. Because before, Roblox was just exclusive to PC and Xbox, and now that's on PlayStation. It's literally has immediately put itself in the top 5 monthly active used games on the platform. This massive platform immediately just leapfrogged literally everything else. I think in the last MPD of that, the only difference was that Spider-Man 2 was there. But more than likely, Spider-Man 2, we won't see Spider-Man 2 that high up there next month or the month after. It's going to go back to being the typical Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Roblox, Minecraft. Like, you can literally just name those and predict it every single month and be correct. And so that's why the units move, because PlayStation is a bigger brand than Xbox is worldwide, as well as in Xbox's own stomping grounds in the United States. And the majority of the people who are on the platform, whether people agree with it or not, or care about it or not, it's not because God of War Ragnarok was great. It's because they want to play Call of Duty. And they get their double XP weekend on Tuesday instead of the actual weekend. So and their friends play on the platform regardless of the fact that these games are cross play, and they want to be where their friends are. They want to be able to talk in parties with their friends, and that's just it's really not as complicated as people try to make it out to be. Now, I think, in speaking about first party, that kind of can have a segue to our next topic here, which
another topic.
It's a bit complicated in the sense that there's been a bit complicated in the sense that there's been a lot of discussion about whether it's right to speak on these things. And when I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about this probably the biggest leak I've ever seen in gaming, because Insomniac got hacked, unfortunately. And to preface this, of course, we would not speak on the personal data that was leaked. We're not talking about, the social security number of the environment artist on Wolverine. Like, no, we don't care about that kind of stuff. That's not important to this podcast, nor would we want to spread that kind of information around. We're not scumbags, right? But I will say, to kind of start this off, when I see platforms out there that want to call themselves parts of gaming media, but they're accepting of being cameos in these games when they are flagrantly showing their biases for certain platforms and literally reporting on every single leak that happens from every single publisher and other developer out there. But for this one, all of a sudden, you became a saint. All of a sudden, you had this big epiphany from Monday when you reported on the leaks of the story for Suicide Squad to Tuesday when you when you refused to talk about any leaks for Insomniac. I wonder what changed. Maybe because you got a great relationship with that developer. And if that's the case, just say that. I think people will respect these. No, let me say, they wouldn't respect you, but they respect the fact that you're honest about why you won't talk about it. But when you try to get on your soapbox and pretend like you're better than other people, or we're real journalists out here, so we're not going to discuss something when people's personal information is out there, and you actually did the same thing for Capcom when 16K employees at Capcom had their personal information out there, you look like a hypocrite. And so that's just my thoughts on it. I'm not telling anybody that they should should be forced. Yeah. Like, the E3, the Xbox leaks, they specifically about, and we're talking about Kind of Funny. They've reported on all that stuff, but this time they decided not to. That's you look like a hypocrite. And my issue isn't that they are reporting or not reporting. All I care about is consistency. If you're going to be on this, we're not going to talk about leaks because it's unfair to the developers and all the hard work they put in. I don't have a problem with anyone having that stance. Just make sure that you're consistent with that stance for here and forevermore, which I guarantee you Kind of Funny won't be.
Kind of
phony. Because the next time, Kind of Phony, matter of fact, Kind of Phony games won't be consistent on that. The very next time a leak happens, they're gonna hopefully pretend like no one remembers their self-righteous take about Insomniac, and then they will go and talk about it. But people have long memories, and they're gonna call them out on it. But all I care about is consistency. If you report on leaks, cool. If you don't report on leaks and don't come to us for that kind of stuff, you are fine to have that opinion. I will go and see other content for that specific thing, but I can respect you for standing on your square about how you feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you flip-flop because you have a personal skin in the game and you got friends, nah, fam. I don't respect that. And you get the smoke that you deserve. Now, I'm off my soapbox. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Logic.
I mean, my personal stance is, I'll definitely, telegraph that, my personal stance on how these things should be handled is different, and not, aligned to probably the majority of people who speak on the gaming discussion in the space. Our approach on Enough to Keep Going has always been the fact that a leak happened would be something that we would discuss. We would not discuss any of the actual content of the leak. So we wouldn't aggrandize or popularize, or have a lengthy discussion about like how, the alpha build looked, or how like the GTA 6 trailer looked, because my stance is that's information that should not be out. That is information that is not out with deliberate intention from the publisher and the development team. They didn't want that information out there to be discussed, and so that's just the yardstick that we follow. And I don't take the stance that because that's the way we approach it, that makes anybody who does do it amoral or a bad journalist or lacking in journalistic integrity. That's just the bar that we set for ourselves, and what we choose to abide by.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest thing for me, like you said, consistency is the biggest thing. Like, leaks suck all around. I especially when people's information is a part of it. You know, that's like a bridge too far. But I do agree, if you're going to talk about it in one instance, you should talk about it in all of them. You know, I understand that people have friends in these studios, and your friends are going to probably say like, yo, what the heck, man? Why you talking about this? Why you want to be a part of this narrative? But you got to think about that when you are a part of this industry. It's like, you got to think, like, I always look at it like, if I'm not going to talk about something, if I'm not willing to talk about it on all sides, even if it's something that impacts somebody I know or people that I know, I kind of tell myself, if this ever was to be that ever scenario where you sit there and says, if this was to ever happen, how would I treat it? And if I say, well, I wouldn't talk about it or I wouldn't engage with it, then I need to be that same way when it comes to, it happening to other people too, because just because I don't know those people don't mean that my stance should change on it. So leaks are fine. I don't have a problem with people talking about this leak. I mean, because it's a leak, and yes, it happened under strange circumstance. It was basically not a leak. It was stolen proprietary information that nobody should have seen. And I understand people saying that it feels a little different compared to like Xbox's FTC leaks and stuff, because of it was part of a public court case that had knowledge to it. And the same thing about Sony's leaks before, when it came to them using the wrong ink, the wrong black marker to redact some of their information about how much their games cost to make. I understand stuff like that not being the same, but it still comes back to if you're willing to talk about, especially when it has people, you can't use it, like people's information is a part of it. Well, when E3 got hacked all those years ago, and everybody's names and numbers
that's a
and
great
addresses,
example.
when everybody's names and numbers was on that website, and everybody in the world talked about it, you can't hide behind that. Like, I yes, it's not a studio. It was a entity that was I forget the name of what they used to be, the ESA, because it was on their website. I understand that that's not a publisher or a conglomerate or anything like that. That's an entity that actually serviced the public when it came to bringing games together. But still, we talked about it. Everybody talked about it, and everybody was upset because all their information was up there on the website. So what's the difference? And I think that's the problem that I have with it, where we could talk about it in that frame, but we can't talk about it in this. And it just shows, like you said, especially now with the way that the perception is around all of these publishers and these corporations, and people feeling the way they feel about how news is disseminated across it. It just doesn't look good when you don't basically keep that same energy compared to what you do to everybody else.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference. There's a way of talking about these things where you're doing what people would expect from you, while also respecting the people whose information got leaked. Like, I haven't seen no one discussing in detail personal information to people who had their stuff leaked. Like, that's clearly out of bounds, and that's a common sense thing. But as like we're doing right now, we're discussing that this leak occurred. I'm not showing the various clips, gameplay of Wolverine that was leaked out. I'm not talking about how I played the PC build that was included that you can download and play on PC. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I didn't look at anything that had anything to do with the story. I don't want to see that stuff, even though the game is about 3 years out from coming out, apparently based upon their own timeline. So more than likely, I'm going to get spoiled on the story at some point within the next 3 years, but I don't need to voluntarily look for that kind of stuff, right? We're not going to discuss those things because there's a way of discussing the leak without actually going into detail about everything that happens in the leak. And in the way, like, it seems as if there are some people, and it's not just kind of phony, but there are some people out here in the games media that I've seen on Twitter that are just like really demonizing anybody. And I can't stand this about games media because I've seen it all year long. They demonize their own colleagues for doing things differently than they do. And they do so in a manner, they do so in a manner where it's gaslighting and it's really like it really rubs me the wrong way because they try to bully their own into doing things the way they want it to be done. We've seen it with Hogwarts Legacy earlier this year. We've seen it with various other topics, and now we're seeing it now where I've actually seen someone have the audacity to say that you're no better than the criminals who actually did the hacking if you talk about it. Huh? What? So should I be arrested for talking about the hack? Like, how stupid is that? Like, that's insane logic. Right. But this is where we're at now with these kind of things, and it's just like you can't put everybody in the same bubble. You can't say, "Hey, look, you are no different than the guy that's disseminating the Wolverine build. No different than the guy that's spreading all of the story for X-Men, for the next Ratchet and Clank, for all the games that were listed in the link in the leak. You're no different than that person for simply saying, "Oh, look, this is a roadmap of what's coming." How are those things the same? For no different than saying, "Hey, look, this information was leaked, and a broad view of what was leaked, this is what was leaked. Personal information, unfortunately. I hope that the people who got their stuff out there is taking necessary precautions to protect themselves. Also, the roadmap from now until 2035, the fact that they're primarily going to be a Marvel superhero machine of video games going forward for a long time. Like, this is stuff that's relevant to people in gaming. Like, just in general, if you were someone who was a fan of Insomniac before they dropped Spider-Man in 2018, you're probably a little disappointed that you're rarely going to see any of the content that they had made in the past anytime soon. And wouldn't you, if you're that kind of person, want to know about that information? So should you just close your eyes, stick your finger in your ears, and pretend like this leak didn't happen for the next decade? Let's come back to reality. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's done. So everyone knows when Wolverine's supposed to drop. Everyone knows they're working on the X-Men game. Everyone knows they got a licensing deal with Marvel. We know all the details of the contracts now. We know all of this information now. Pretending like you're better than everyone else for not discussing it doesn't really work when you gleefully discuss, and I'm talking in general, gleefully discuss all the other leaks. And by the way, Forte, people are saying on the DPS channel there's no audio.
No audio? Why is there no audio now?
Because do you have the stream muted? I don't know, man.
I do not have the stream muted.
Well, if you can mute yourself and check the other stream, listen to it. Okay. So, I mean, look, that's just like my thought on it. It's going to be discussed. And you could either choose to never discuss this kind of stuff, which is fine, again, as I said, or be consistent and actually discuss it when it's relevant. Anything else you guys want to say before we actually get into actually discussing said leak?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Alrighty. So, the Insomniac leak. We've got a roadmap of what Insomniac is working on from now until 2035. They are working on we already knew about the Wolverine game because they announced that was that earlier this year? No, that was last year, right? The Wolverine teaser trailer was 2022, correct? Or 2021? Was it? I can't remember. I can't remember when they.
I thought it was 2021.
Yeah, I don't think it was. It wasn't this year. It wasn't this year. Because that would actually probably have made the most recent showcase better, right? But what we didn't know is that they were working on a standalone, smaller project with Venom that's very much akin to what the Miles Morales game was that came out in 2020, and we know that this is a smaller project because in their details about the game, not the story, but about the scope of the game, is supposed to be like 12 missions. So definitely a smaller experience, but their goal is to kind of bridge the story gap between Spider-Man 2, which just released a few months ago, and Spider-Man 3, which they hadn't announced, but that's also in their roadmap. That's supposed to be coming out later in this decade. There's some information out there about Spider-Man 3 that, as far as how it will be, like, it seems to be a different kind of game. Not different in that it was spoken about having multiplayer, and of course the previous Spider-Man games are all single player, in addition to various other pricing that I don't know is still relevant or not. A lot of this stuff can change clearly, and a lot of this stuff from what it appears, some of this information came from 2022. So there's PowerPoint slides that discuss their budget on how much they're going to pay for these games, in addition to what they expect their revenue to be, and what the current numbers of costs were for Spider-Man Remastered, Miles Morales, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which became a big debate online because the slide, which was older, from early 2022, showed that Ratchet & Clank was not profitable, but then other information that still leaked out, because again, like, this leak is ridiculous, showed that Ratchet & Clank was indeed profitable, just not by a huge margin or anything like that. So all that said, the roadmap stuff, the only Insomniac IP that's not a Marvel license that they're dropping this decade would be a new Ratchet & Clank, and that's going to be close to 2029. I expressed some sadness, the fact that I'm probably never going to get another Sunset Overdrive, and other people online have spoken about that in general too. Logic, what are your thoughts about the roadmap itself? That it seems like Insomniac is primarily a Marvel superhero developer for the time being. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, and again, this is as I voice this, I know that my perspective is not what it is for a lot of gamers, and in particular a lot of gaming Twitter. You know, the roadmap is their roadmap, right? Creators get to decide in the business, collaborate to decide what their roadmap and their pipeline is. Gamers as consumers get to decide whether or not we're going to buy it or not. So I don't get a vote, right, in what they're going to work on. From a business perspective, getting a bag of money from Disney for working on their licensed IPs. I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing for Marvel IPs to be in the hands of a studio who has a current track record of proving that they can pull them off. I think in particular, now that we hear saber rattling of the MCU kind of finally getting in order what its plans are for bringing mutant content into the MCU. I think the notion that those games are going to be coming out concurrently alongside those movies, not saying that will be movie licensed or movie like oriented or anchored games, but we see what the current fervor for Spider-Man content has generated, right? That you've got a big game out in the same year that you've got Into the Spider-Verse 2 out, in the same year that you got news that 3 is coming out, right? All that builds into this big rolling thunder marketing campaign that winds up in the spend of a lot of consumer dollars for Spider-Man stuff. And so that, from a business strategy, that seems to be like a good thing. Insomniac not working on anything else. I get that and I understand that, but to me that's also not unique to Insomniac. Like there's tons of stuff. Like I mean, it's really lucky that we're getting a Homeworld 3 right next February or March, right? That's an IP that I would have loved to have had back earlier. I still lament the fact that No One Lives Forever is in licensing hell, and I don't know who the hell has the license right now between Monolith, Fox, and whoever published that game. So those things happen all the time. And I get it, but I also feel like it's in my mind, it's not unique, and it's up there with a ton of other stuff that I wish we were getting more Max Payne games and not just the remake from Remedy Rockstar. So that's just kind of where I sit with it right now.
I got you. I to clarify how I feel about it, it's like I'm not complaining about the roadmap because I'm gonna play all those games anyway. Like I've platinumed every Insomniac Spider-Man game, and I will probably continue to do so, as well as doing that with Wolverine when it comes out, and Venom, which are the next two from their pipeline. But I understand why there won't be another Sunset Overdrive. And I know there's talk like that Microsoft still has the publishing rights to it, which may be the reason. I'm not 100% certain. There was talk that they did have an Overwatch 2 in development, but it was canceled or something like that. So whatever, it's fine. Someone in the chat saying Sunset Overdrive is trash, and you, sir, respectfully think your taste is trash. I think your taste in gaming is trash, but that's neither here nor there. It's fine. People can not like the game, but I think what it really comes down to is that even though that game is overall in general considered to be a high quality game, that just didn't sell that great on a much smaller platform with a community of gamers that weren't used to Insomniac's content. It's about the fact that not just that one. Let's look at Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank's budget was much lower than the Spider-Man games, and it still barely made a profit. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, is Sony going to continue to fund games? I wish they would, as a gamer. Continue to fund games that seem to be guaranteed to not sell as much and not give as much on that return on investment as you would like? Probably not. And so we see the way they're moving, and even like there's a report that came out today that Insomniac's gotta do cuts. They gotta do cuts. They gotta lay anywhere between 50 to 75 people off, even though their game is wildly successful and they've been carrying the PlayStation platform when it comes to first party content on their back since this generation started. They still gotta make cuts. You know, like it's about the money, and it's always going to be about that. So I get it. I completely get it. I get why I won't see that game again, not even a remaster. But it's as a gamer, it's disappointing nonetheless.
Yeah, and I definitely would say like my commentary of how I felt about it. It was definitely not to marginalize or diminish. Like in fact, it was to commiserate with you. Like I have my own IPs of games that I love that I'm disappointed about not getting. Right. Chris Roberts is over there doing his Star Citizen thing, and I'm like, dude, I would have appreciated like a modernized, upgraded like Freelancer. You know, instead of you cranking away on this game that you're never going to finish and you're never going to publish.
That game is, people call Star Citizen a scam. Just real quick, it's not that it's never going to have a full release and go out of beta because it's a scam. You can play Star Citizen right now, and it's got more content in it, and it has more development time done to it than the majority of the games that are out there. The reason why they won't make Star Citizen a full release is because of their contract with Crytek, and how that the engine that game runs on is a modified Cry engine, and the way they did their contract, they didn't have to pay any licensing fees to Crytek for the use of their engine until the game goes to full release. And so they chose the very savvy business move, but shady nonetheless, to not ever go to full release, which is why Crytek tried to take them to court, and they still lost because the contract's the contract. And they have no intention of taking it out of beta. It's going to be one of those games that will always be in beta, indefinitely, forever. And so they got a free game engine. It is what it is. So like, people think it's a scam because it's never coming out of beta. Like, no, it's the only people that got scammed was Crytek. Anyway, my bad.
I have a year or two of live stream content, hours and hours of gameplay in Star Citizen. It, quite frankly, when the servers were stable, plays better than some other science fiction games that came out this year, but we won't go there.
Shots fired.
But I agree with you, and like I said, I commiserate. Like I definitely get it. You know, so I don't want what I was saying was not an attempt to kind of downplay what you were saying either. It was the running commentary on gamer Twitter.
No, I didn't think you were. You're good, bro. Forte, what are your thoughts on the roadmap?
The roadmap looks good. It looks amazing. It's just no surprises anymore. We live in a world where everything, if it can be, will be leaked. And I don't have a problem with them being, I don't have a problem with them being a marble factory at this point, because you got to do what you got to do to keep the lights on. Mm-hmm. And that's what they kind of got to do. Yes, Ratchet and Clank did make money by the time that, everything did come out from it, but it's definitely nowhere near as profitable as the stuff they're doing right now. So the fact that they're not abandoning it, it's a great thing. But I also think right now, I think people kind of misconstrue like how you should go, how business basically goes about working and stuff. You basically should do exactly what you were doing until you can't do it anymore. It's just like football, or just like a sports analogy. You keep doing it until they make you stop doing it. And what that means is in the sales and marketing space, it means you keep delivering the same thing that you can keep doing until people don't buy it anymore. Hence why Call of Duty is pretty much the same thing that it's been over the course of the last 20 years, with a couple of iterations here and there, when we went to the exosuits and stuff like that. But that's why the games are the way they are now. That's why, Madden's the way it is now, on top of it being exclusive and the only sim football game you can buy. Same thing with NBA. As long as the market is willing to pay the money that it takes to get those in their hands, and even with the marginal changes they make to things, people are going to keep doing it until the market says don't do that no more by not purchasing the game. So I don't have a problem with it because it makes them money. I am very interested to see exactly what's where basically Sony's going to go in the future with all this stuff. They're doing a complete rollback on a lot of their statements on live services by, you know, delaying a lot of their games, saying they were going to come out over the course of the next couple of years and everything. They're putting we don't know how the money that they allocated that is going to work, but it seems to think that they're going to probably allocate a lot of more of that money back to the things that people probably care about the most, which is their, you know, single player ventures when it comes to those games. But that's something that we will probably never get a chance to see because they're going to be very tight lit with a lot of that stuff that they should have been with all of these leaks that did come out in the first place. So, you know, I just like the direction that they're going when it comes to Insomniac. That's like by far their best studio over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. They released the most titles. They will continue to release the most titles based on the timeline that we saw from them when it comes to the things that got leaked out. And I just think that people are just very, very excited to see what's going to happen with the next IP. And the fact that we are going to get X-Men games in the future is something that I am excited about too. And I am not excited that nobody else can make anything X-Men related outside of the family friendly stuff. And you can't do it inside of the same release windows, which kind of makes sense when it comes to that too. But also the fact that they want to keep those marketing deals and they have to sell 6 million copies of it is
I wanted to talk about that.
And that's another reason why I think Insomniac, being the studio that's going to keep producing these, they have a track record of them working. So they want to keep that license as much as possible. And that's why you're not going to see anybody else really venture in that marketplace or into that IP until they just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss the Wolverine license deal with and X-Men license deal with Marvel. And there's something about the termination part of it where both parties could choose to terminate the deal if any of those games, and it's only 3 games, it's not all of them, so I don't think this counts for, say, Venom, because Venom isn't like that's like a standalone smaller experience. This definitely counts for like X-Men, Spider-Man 3, and Wolverine. But if any of those 3 games within 1 year does not sell 6 million copies, then there is a chance that Marvel/Disney could terminate the entire license. And so I think this is also why we see the level of marketing that PlayStation that Sony puts into those games, because it's necessary. They have to. Right. They need to make sure that as many people as possible know that hey, look, we got another Spider-Man game coming. Hey, remember the X-Men? Remember Wolverine? We got a Wolverine game coming. They need that name out there, and then they bundle it with system sold. Now, that may not count as sales towards NPD. I don't know if it does or not, but I can guarantee you to their contract, for them, that's good enough. Like, that's people out there who have the system and have the game and are playing it. So we did our job. We got those units. And so I think that's going to be really important for them in the future. And if you know, we don't know for certain that this is how Disney and Marvel do all of their deals, but if that is how all their deals are structured, that gives us a level of insight into how Disney and Marvel really kind of like views these video game adaptations of their IP. There's another part in that license where it talks about the split in the percentage of sales that they get off of the if the game is sold physically, if the game is sold digitally, or the bundles. And for bundles, I was really shocked to find out that Disney/Marvel gets 35 to so anywhere between 35 to 50% of the wholesale cost of these bundles. So Forte, you talked about it's a lot of bundles. So you talked about they're still, you guys are still selling the PS5 Spider-Man 2 bundle. Like potentially Disney's getting 50% of the wholesale cost of that, which is crazy.
They're getting anywhere from $200 to $250 per bundle.
Yeah, and that's go ahead, Lodge. You about to say something?
What happens if PlayStation does something like bundle one of these games with the PlayStation Portal? Which
maybe that's why they counted it as hardware.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. There was that tweet from Piscatella, which he deleted and took down, that talked about PlayStation Portal being reported as a console. So that's a way for Sony to double down, right? Where they get a console sale out of it that counts. You know, I'm not saying that they're going to do it this year, but just say if they were, that counts towards them getting to that 25 million objective. Plus, it gets them another sale of, of a Marvel game, right, to count towards the minimum number that they need to sell per year.
Right, and if you think about it, if you are someone who already owns a PS5, you're less likely to be interested in the current PS5 Spider-Man 2 bundle. It's like, I already got a PS5, so I don't care about this bundle. But if you're a primary PlayStation gamer, and then there is the PS Portal, which is it's a limited device, right? But it has its use for someone who is primarily a PlayStation gamer. And I can see how they would be like, and if you look at like currently right now, you can't find the PS Portal anywhere. So people definitely have an interest in it, at least for this time, for this time period. If you look at it, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, like maybe next year when, actually, I don't think they got, Venom's supposed to come out in 2025. That's where they are slating to put it. Venom comes out and is like, hey, what if they're selling a, because you know how like they like I have a Spider-Man themed DualSense controller right here in front of me right now. What if they did like a Venom themed PS Portal that also came with the Venom game too?
Day one.
Like that, yeah, a lot of people would buy that. Like a whole lot of people would buy that. Yeah.
If I'm gonna go out and in reality now pay $150 for a PlayStation Portal because I'm getting a $50 bundled game with it, right? Or even later in the timeline, right? If I'm paying $130 because I get yes, that might very well be a no-brainer for me.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to Pixelbit in the chat who said, seeing how much Disney is getting on a bundle and knowing how Activision was strong-arming people, I wonder how much of a console sale they're getting off of their bundle. That's an actual good point. Because, Forte, you said that Call of Duty bundle was selling more than the Spider-Man 2 bundle.
Sure is.
If Sony had no problem in agreeing to those kind of margins for the Spider-Man 2 bundle, it would not shock me at all if they did something similar with Activision.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, and so we're not discussing like any kind of story things with Wolverine or like that, but I did kind of want to like shift gears to Wolverine. If you want to see what it looks like, it is out there. I'm not showing it. I'm not trying to deal. I don't want the smoke with Sony or Disney. I'm good. But if you want to see what it looks like, it's definitely out there for you to view. I looked at the gameplay, and of course, like it's incomplete. So it's like you can't judge it really. It's 3 years out. Things can change. But that said, I thought the gameplay had, when it came to initially, I thought Wolverine moved too slow, and I thought that it didn't feel like Wolverine with the level of like brutality that he brings to fighting. Like Wolverine's not like, oh, I'm gonna leave him alive kind of guy. There ain't only one person is walking away from this fight, and it ain't you. Okay, that's how Wolverine is, and so and more likely it's gonna be a closed casket funeral. You know they're gonna be picking you up in pieces, and that's how he is in the comics. I know that's not how he is in the cartoon because, you know, it's a cartoon for kids. This is a mature rated game. I want some mature rated content. And so I didn't really see any dismemberment, which was a little disappointing. But later gameplay I saw did show me that level of brutality that I was looking for. And so I'm not concerned with that at all. I'm really not concerned with it, period. It's a day one cop for me. And I've always had that level of confidence in Insomniac to deliver on that. My only real, and I don't think this will change because it's far enough in development where I don't think this is going to change. But some of the traversal stuff is a little too Spider-Man for me, and I get it. Like, I get it, right? It's you're Insomniac, and your release cadence and your pipeline and how you develop games is second to none. But that also comes with a lot of taking of assets and reusing them for different games, which is fine when it works, right? I don't think that really works for Wolverine. Again, I'm not judging. This could change. But when I see Wolverine walking on like telephone wires and stuff, and I'm just like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, why is he doing? Why are you clawing yourself up a building and jumping rooftop to rooftop? That's unnecessary. You're Wolverine. You're like, and I saw some people complaining about him, the detective side of things, him sniffing, and no, like, yo, that's a part of his power set. He has his senses are heightened to the point that he can tell who someone is based off of the scent that they leave. Like he can tell every person from the X-Men, all 5,000 X-Men, who they are based upon scent. You know, like that's what he's able to do. He's able to determine what happened in the room based upon his senses. So I fully expected something like that, and I like to see that in the game. It's just, I think people need to stop judging games that are incomplete, especially after the whole GTA 6 deal happened, and people was like, oh, this looks like trash. And then they see GTA 6 when Rockstar wanted to show it, and they're like, oh, okay, it looks better than I thought. The game's gonna look better than what was clearly footage that you were never supposed to see. And that's a guarantee. It's gonna look better than this when it actually comes out 3 so years from now. Forte, what are your thoughts about the gameplay, if you saw it?
No, I saw it. Like, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, what? This looks just like Spider-Man. But I think a lot of people are. This is the thing. I try to think about it in different terms. The reason I think it kind of looks and moves like Spider-Man is because right now they just want to get the model moving inside of the space. And the quickest way of doing that is using tech that you already have in order to get that to happen. So you already have a motion engine in place for Spider-Man. So let's use the Spider-Man motion engine to get him moving around in the environment, just to get that part of it going. And then once we get that situated, then we can go in and we can start, tailor making how we want Wolverine to move. I don't know if that's the way that it's going to happen at all. I just want to hope that's kind of the way it is, because I was looking, I was like, man, he literally walks like Spider-Man. He wall runs like Spider-Man. He walks across the wires like Spider-Man. I was like, please don't let this be Wolverine Spider-Man 3 or whatever we're gonna call it. But the overall game itself, just seeing the leaks and stuff, looks good. It looks further along than probably a lot of people thought it was gonna be.
You're starting to cut in and out there, Forte. Uh-oh. Here we go. Forte, your cable. Fix your cable. I'm gonna mute him until he gets his stuff figured out. To kind of piggyback off of what he's saying, I'm not going to talk in detail like on the gameplay, but there was just this one particular part, and I know Logic, you've been kind of like avoiding looking at anything, but like there's this one particular part in the gameplay that made me say, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Wolverine had a katana blade stuck in his body, like in his between like his shoulder, like into his body, and one of the ninjas from the hand was rushing him, and he pulls the blade out and just like throws it at this guy's head, and it gets enlarged in this guy's head. And then I think most people didn't pick up on it. One of the other hand ninjas in stride, doesn't break stride, rips that same katana blade out of the dead ninja's head and starts attacking Wolverine with it. That entire sequence had me blissfully like, I can't wait to play this game. And so look, this is when they first announced it, I said it back then, I was like, I got full confidence in Insomniac, but that, you know, when you make games like Ratchet and Clank, which are, you know, cartoony and has that kind of theme to it, when you make a game with Spider-Man and he's loath to kill anybody, even though frankly he ain't leaving these people in that good a state, you know, with the way you see some of the damage they take, right? And then and you really haven't made anything that had like that was like really dark like that for a while. I want to know you still got it. Can you do that? And Wolverine's gotta be dark. And I think they with that little sequence, they definitely proved to me they could do that. Let me see if Forte's mic is good again. Forte, you good?
Was it breaking up? Was it breaking up?
Yeah. You remember that time when it sounded like you were a transformer?
Oh shoot, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, so like I just muted you because it was like kind of loud in my ear, and so until you guys figured it out. I was wondering why you just cut me off. No, I said I was muting you because your mic is messing up. You didn't hear me say that?
I said Slow-Mo just cut me off. I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna argue about it.
But no, go ahead and go ahead and continue what you were saying before.
No. I was pretty much done. I was just talking about, you know, a lot of people are super excited for it. I do think that you know, the motion engine, that's just something that I think they're probably just using as a stand-in until they actually get what they want the Wolverine to move like. I think that would probably be a good use of their assets and stuff, since they already have that in place. But in general, the game looks good. I like the overall the look of it from what we've seen of it so far. Being the person that just beat Spider-Man 2, I'm very very interested in what they have going on with the game so far, and looking how they're going to expand that universe. So that's all I was saying. I'm very, very excited to see where they're going with that game.
Yeah. I can also probably see that Wolverine is going to lead into, it's more like introducing the gaming industry community to the X-Men, because, you know, look, we're a bit older, so for us, we remember either when X-Men was carrying Marvel Comics. I remember that, like my very first comic I ever read back in 1991 was X-Men #1 with Chris Claremont writing the game, and Jim Lee, the best comic book artist ever, penciling it. That basically introduced me to comics and X-Men, and I was an X-Men fan ever since. For a lot of other people, it's the X-Men cartoon that was on Fox, and that cartoon definitely defined a lot of people that we know at their 30 and 40s childhood when it came to the kind of content and what they really saw from like superheroes. It was that, and it was the Batman animated series, which is epic, and in the Spider-Man cartoon, right? So, but for a lot of these younger kids out here, they don't have the same appreciation for the X-Men that we do. For them, it's the Avengers. And I remember this like so vividly. When I took my kids to Disney, and was it Disney or I can't remember. I think it was Disney. Yeah, it was Disney. Took my kids to Disney, and they had like a little section at Disney where they had all of these like actors dressed up as these superheroes. And so, you know, they had Captain America out there, they had Iron Man, they had Thor, and they also had Rogue, Cyclops, and they had Wolverine. And do you know, people were lined up. There was more people lined up to take a picture with Hawkeye, freaking Hawkeye, than Cyclops. It was only old heads hanging around Cyclops and Rogue. All the kids was like, Iron Man, Captain. My kids was like, Captain America. I was like, yeah, whatever. There's Wolverine right here. That's Wolverine. Ain't nobody talking to Wolverine. And my kids was like, Ann, I'm trying to go talk. I'm trying to take a picture with Captain America, Dad. Give it to him. I'm like, all right. So look, they got some work to do to reintroduce these iconic heroes to a whole new generation that doesn't see it as the three of us would. And it makes sense that they wouldn't just hit us with X-Men right off the break. They're going to hit us with Wolverine, and they're going to have some of those characters in there, and it's going to be themed around it. And then later on, they'll have a big actual X-Men game.
Yep. That
will be closely coming out around the time of the MCU X-Men movies, at whatever phase that they're at. And that will make a lot of sense to me. Now, Elijah, you've been a little quiet there. Like, what are your thoughts about what their approach is with Wolverine and the X-Men and trying to build that up the way they built up the MCU with the Avengers?
So one comment about X-Men, and then one comment that's speculation around Blade.
Okay.
Which I think what's going to be super interesting to me. Look, I mean, I play video games all the time. I've been playing them for multiple decades. New video games are going to come out. They're going to be their thing. And I mean, I'll continue to talk about them, right? But what's really particularly unique with regards to this IP, and what I'm very interested to see how it plays, is I'm very interested to see how the story content is oriented and how that plot is carried out. And what I mean by that is you talk about the origination point of the X-Men and their relevance. And I think I actually go back a decade or two before you guys. The commentary of the X-Men has always been about racism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in particular, right, and you mentioned, you know, how people in current generations have been exposed to X-Men. But I go back to my exposure to X-Men being around the second generation of X-Men, where they really,
when Storm was the leader and the team was Banshee and them.
Storm was just being brought in, but yes, with Banshee, when
Colossus, Nightcrawler, yeah,
Colossus. When X-Men kind of went multinational, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a larger commentary about their diversity, and then of course it just further kind of snowballed out of that. And so that to me is the relevance of the X-Men, like the characters and all that stuff. Like I'm one of the rare few people who love Cyclops. You know, lots of people think he's a jerk.
I'm a fan of Scott Summers as well, especially the evolution of him in the comics that people don't see. People's view of Cyclops is just basically getting cucked by Wolverine as he's flirting with Jean Grey right in front of him and punching him in the stomach and crap like that. I'm like, no, that crap ever happened in the comics. Wolverine ain't never do that to Scott. Like y'all don't know. Scott Summers at one point had Magneto at one point Scott Summers became a combination of Professor Xavier and Magneto when it came to leading the X-Men and being the guy that was keeping the dream alive, but he changed the dream a little bit because that pacifist stuff that Xavier was doing wasn't working. And he was a smarter strategist than Magneto ever was. So he combined the goal of peaceful coexistence with, but if you ain't trying to bring that peace, I will bring that heat to you too that Magneto had, but I'm gonna be smart about it. Make sure we survive. And so, like, at one point, Cyclops was just a straight beast, like in the comics, for a good long time. It was right around the time where it was like a lot of the stuff that was going on was like the Dark Avengers, and they had moved from the X Mansion and the upstate New York to San Francisco, an island off of San Francisco. All that time period, like that reign of Scott Summers is peak Scott Summers. Go ahead, my bad.
And so it's really kind of interesting to me to see how it unfolds. Is now we have Bob Iger, who has stepped back in as CEO of Disney, who has said that Disney got off the rails by hyper focusing on social issues and not on creative aspects, right, of stories that people wanted to read. Got too focused on messaging. I don't necessarily agree with that take because I'm okay with a lot of the messaging. I've personally benefited from that. I have two daughters who are minorities, who are mixed race, right? A lot of those issues are issues that they're going to deal with growing up. So for me personally, those things have been good, right? I mean, I've now brought up daughters who, had Disney not turned that corner, they would not be watching Disney stuff. Because no offense, I mean, it maybe make some people mad, but I'm sorry. I wasn't going to raise my daughters watching a bunch of white princesses who needed males to rescue them and dictate to them what their lives were going to be. That's just not the daughters I'm trying to raise. That's just me personally. That's not a commentary on what everybody else is doing. You do you. That's just me. So the notion that there's not going to be that content, right? I'm curious. So, but on with the video game and with the X-Men property, so I'm very curious if that was the core of what the X-Men were and what Stan Lee was trying to infuse with them and what their messaging was about, and if that's going to be, and so in the commentary, right, between Disney, because you're going to have Disney, kind of lore librarians is kind of what they use in their interface with the video game companies to like keep stuff straight and to tell them what they can do and what they can't do. And so if that kind of stuff is going to be eked out of the X-Men story, then that to me is going to kind of castrate it and neuter it from what those stories really were, and that will impact like the creative vision of what those stories are, because that was what they were before. So I'll be very curious just to kind of see how that unfolds.
Yeah. Go ahead. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
The speculation I wanted to ask about Blade, I have not. So Disney/Marvel is doing this stuff with the properties, with Insomniac, with PlayStation. At Marvel, whenever, like, every property for the most part, right, is either part of the Avengers desk, part of the Spider-Man desk, or part of the X-Men desk. And so when you get an IP, you get a whole baggage of stuff that typically goes along with it. So having the X-Men license means that you also have Alpha Flight, usually. It means that you also have Deadpool, usually.
Weapon X.
Yep. So what I'm very curious about...
X-Force, X-Factor.
Yep. So what I'm very curious about is, Xbox has Blade. What does that mean in terms of what deals have been made?
Oh, what secondary characters come with that?
Well, and what I was trying to figure out, and what I want to ask you guys, because maybe you know, or maybe somebody in the chat knows, is what desk is Blade part of? And I wonder now that somebody just said, so Rodimus said Marvel Knights. So yeah, I'm wondering if that's, I don't know that that's a desk at Marvel. I always thought that was part of the Spider-Man desk, but maybe Daredevil, Moon Knight, Heroes
I would say
Incorporated.
Daredevil is probably off the table considering the Easter eggs of Daredevil for Spider-Man 2. So if you play Spider-Man 2 and you get it really around, like they got Daredevil's, they got his law or practice there. And then if I recall correctly, there was some other little Easter egg that kind of insinuated we might see him in the future, or at least see him in the role of his everyday life as a lawyer in the future. I can't quite remember, but I do know there was some insinuation there. So I don't think Daredevil would be a part of anything they may have got from Blade. But what Robin's saying, Marvel Knights is the Midnight Suns as well. Might be something that is something they could actually draw on. They could draw on the fact that, like in the comics now, Blade has a daughter. Can't remember her name because I didn't read that comic, but it's just something that I'm aware of. And Blade's very international as well. Like his stories are very diverse, so they can really go a lot of different ways with it. But I do think that unfortunately with Blade, that a lot of people, their experience is very few people whose experience with Blade is about his comic book appearances and how he has been written in the comics versus the Wesley Snipes iteration of Blade, which is now at this point the default Blade as far as people are concerned.
Yeah, it's kind of the canon people know.
Right. So regardless of where Arcane Leon wants to go with him, I think for people to feel like they're playing as Blade, you gotta have some of that Wesley Snipes swagger to it. You're gonna have some of those that kind of like, you know how like in the Blade movies where like Snipes is like whooping somebody badly, and then at the same he then kind of does like a little pose, or even when he pulls out like his blade and then he decides to
the neck crack.
Yeah,
fight one person.
yeah. You know,
the F's are always trying to skate uphill.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The one-liners and stuff, like you gotta add that stuff in there for people to feel like this is Blade. And so I feel like they can be diverse with it. Clearly, I mean, they're already kind of like the setting is in Paris, so like they're already kind of doing a little bit of that there. But I feel like they just gotta, as far as his personality goes, you can take the story however you want, wherever you want, but I feel like his personality needs to be more defined with what people know of him.
What city was it at the very end of Blade where the last one, where was he at when it was outside in the snow?
Prague,
that's what it was. Okay, yeah, Prague. Yeah, so it's gonna be, they could go, like you said, that kind of hit me when you said international. Because I know that's where a lot of people were thinking that's what it was kind of set up to be before they didn't do another one, and people were thinking that's where it was gonna go, but it taking down sales across the international waters and stuff. But that's the thing I like the most about it, because I feel like I told you, Darren, when the stream when they showed it off at the Game Awards, I think it's a unique opportunity to like really showcase two different sides of Blade when it comes to the day and night side of them, familiars and everything during the day, going after that, shut down the corruption for the familiars when they're, doing the bidding of the night during the day, and then going and the crazy stuff happens at night during the vampire runs and stuff. So
yeah, and that's, I think it's a really cool actually what I'm kind of hoping they will go with it. I hope they go in that direction for certain, where like, because and you look at the movies, the familiars, and then like a lot of vampire content, they have, they can't get around during the day, so there are things that need to get done that they can't handle, so they have their familiars that do it for them, and that's a bit of prevalent part of the movies, and as well as the comics as well, and so I feel like that needs to be not only evident in the story but in the gameplay, because like Blade will be fighting an army of just regular humans with tactical gear and guns, not just vampires. So I feel like he should have his own arsenal for vampires, as well as his tools and his gear for the regular humans as well. Like, you should be thinking about, okay, I got like in my ammo for like my small arms fire, which he usually uses, right? I got my silver bullets and I got my regular bullets, and I don't need to be wasting my silver bullets on familiars. You want to save those for the actual vampires that they're more effective for. Like, that should be a part. That level of strategy should be a part of the gameplay, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, I wanted to say something about X-Men, but it has left my memory. So
yeah, so Forte, you got me messed up with my recollection of Blade ending scenes. So I thought you said the Blade Trinity ending scene, which was not Prague. In the snow. That's actually the ending of Blade, the first movie.
Yeah,
that's the end of the first Blade movie.
Yeah, the first Blade was Russia. The last one was Prague. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not sure what the last one ends with him on the motorcycle, like in a city. So that may have been a U.S. city. And you're right. I think Brian East was in the chat. He said Moscow. I thought it was Prague. It's actually Moscow.
Yeah, it was Moscow. Yeah, because he was looking for Whistler. You find that out.
Yes,
you find that out at the beginning of Blade 2, which is actually my favorite, is Blade 2, because all the choreography was done by Donnie Yen in his first Western movie debut, where he didn't say a single word.
I know people hate Blade Trinity, man, but like as a whole collection,
was cool.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
I love all three of those
yes,
movies.
it was.
Blade Trinity sucks, bro.
Or you can't be hating. You hating on Reynolds and everybody else in that movie.
Ryan Reynolds was too much Ryan Reynolds in that movie. He just kept running his mouth, and half his jokes didn't land. I'm just like, this is not the kind of movie for this. Like, shut him up, please.
That Ryan Reynolds was the Van Wilder Ryan Reynolds. It's not the Deadpool Ryan Reynolds, where I think his comedy has matured a lot. Matured is a relative term also in terms of Ryan Reynolds, but yeah. Then
it was the story was kind of iffy. The fight choreography wasn't as good as the first two movies, and even the music was different. Like, the music from the first two movies was a lot more aggressive. You had some music in there that was actual hip hop. None of that was in Blade Trinity. It was just like, who you got freaking Triple H in the movie. I didn't Triple H get a Razzie for his performance in that movie? He was awful. And you got these millennial vampires. That's all. Like the head vampire was annoying. It was bad. I think that movie sucks. And you know what? I'm not alone, because that was the last Blade movie. After that, they ain't do no more after that. But I do think that the Blade TV show was good too, with Sticky Fingers as playing Blade in the TV show. I thought that was pretty good. But Blade Trinity, I can't get with it. It's
You can't rock with it.
Nah. We gonna get out of here though, because I think we are like far off the beaten path with everything. But again, to sum up, the leaks, it's unfortunate. It will continue to keep happening, because that's just the reality of the gaming industry. There are people out there that's like, if you talk about these leaks, then you're just emboldening the hackers to do more. I think you guys have no idea what motivates hackers to hack. It's not what you think it is. And clearly, when they asked for $2 million to not release this information, their motivation was money.
True.
So them releasing it is just so that the next time they hack someone else, they know that they're serious about releasing that information, not because they wanted to see your reaction. You don't even know if the group that did this are gamers. They don't give a crap about you or what you feel about. They care about getting money. That's why they hack them, because Sony owns them and Sony got money. Like, hello? Like, I don't know. Like, for you to hack this much information, you to get this much information out of them, you know what you're doing. You're not no script kiddie who just basically took some scripts, modified some scripts, and you did a little something. You want to brag about it. This ain't about bragging. It's about getting paid. So whatever. Like I just saw too much foolishness with people's takes that they clearly don't know what they're talking about. I even saw some people, I ain't gonna name them no names, but they called the hacker group ransomware.
I can see that.
The group's not called ransomware. That's not what the group is called. That's it's funny, just really funny. We can get out of here though. You guys got anything y'all want to say before we we get anything left to say about the leaks before we start getting into outros? I know it's been here for a little while.
Nah, man, leaks are fun. Leaks are fun.
Not for everyone, but it's fun for some people.
True.
All right, so outros. Logic, thank you for joining us, sir. We really appreciate you. And now that I also think about it, I do have a giveaway to do. I didn't say it earlier. I meant to talk about this earlier. An anonymous donor provided me a code for a full year of Peacock, the subscription service Peacock, to anyone out there that watches the program and wins it. So I guess we probably need like a trivia question or something. This is the last podcast of the year, so Forte, I don't know what kind of trivia question you want to come up with. What do you think, man? What do we got?
Trivia question, Peacock related.
No, it ain't gotta be Peacock related.
No, I'm just saying Peacock related. Just saying Peacock related.
No, Halo's on Paramount. So I'm about to say something from the Halo TV show, but no, that's on Paramount. It ain't gotta be Peacock related. Just any, I guess it could be DPS related trivia. Think on that for a second. We go do the outros though. Logic, let the fine people know where to find you, man.
Yeah, probably easiest place to catch up with me is where I co-host as one of the hosts of the Enough to Keep Going Weekly Games podcast on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. You can catch us at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday nights. We are on hiatus until the 7th of January, but until then, you can check out our end of the year show, our gaming superlative show, where rather than do game of the year, we do categories. If you kind of think about like what your high school superlatives were, like most likely to be successful, class clown, things like that. They're not most likely to be successful in class clown, but that's what superlatives are, is what I mean. And you can go check those out. 14 categories. All 5 co-hosts got together. So 70 picks total of games that we slotted into each of those categories over 2 episodes. So please feel free to check that out.
Nice.
Cool. I like that. You also, I have all your stuff links in the description. So if you guys want to check out Logic on his channel for the podcast that he just mentioned, or on his Twitter account, that is in the description of the podcast. And Again, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate your insight, sir.
Yeah, it's good, man. I always love coming here and talking the gaming industry and games with you guys. We'll try to do it more often.
Oh, you actually like us?
I'm down with y'all's vibe.
Oh man. Chip says Forte ain't on Twitter. Forte is technically on Twitter, but he never actually checks his Twitter account. So if you send him anything, don't expect to get a response for like anytime soon. So just fair warning.
That's good to know. I thought he was just leaving me on read. I'm glad to
No, he does it to everybody.
No.
Even text messages and phone calls is just the same. He's just no. Everyone knows this. Everyone, all your friends know this. We all know this about you. So don't try to pull the it's not true. We ain't here for the lies.
Logic is not left on red. I look at my messages. Logic, you are not left on red, sir.
You know what left on red means? You don't respond.
I know he's not left on red, meaning anytime
he just said you leaving him on red.
No, I have not left him. Let me see. Logic.
Forte. He thought you did. If you actually responded, there's nothing for him to think. He knows you responded. If right you didn't respond,
last time we talked, September 5th, he responded to me. I responded to him. Okay, it was a day later.
Thank you. Moving on. I
needed backup for the Starfield discussion, bro.
But see, I responded the moment he actually put a fire emoji on it because I responded to him because it was forgetting. He said, "I need you in here for the Starfield discussion." I was like, "Okay, bro, I'll be there." No, I do be on Twitter. I just, I think it's mostly due to. See, I have a problem. Like, I get real irritated with stupidity. And I see a lot of stupidity on Twitter. So
mute these people. Block is your friend.
So instead of dealing with it, I just don't look at Twitter until like once or twice a day. And usually it's like at the end of the day. And then at that point, I'm starting to play games. So kind of like 4 or 5, like 12 hours will go by sometimes before I start looking at it. But I do need to start looking at it more seriously. I do. I
have a trivia question for.
It's something to do with me. It's got something to do with me and Twitter, don't it?
No.
When's the last time?
But it is DPS related, or at least related to the two of us. And if people have been following us and paying attention, they would know the answer to this question pretty quickly. What is the first game that Forte and I played together?
Oh, that is a good one.
And I think it's something that people would not immediately get.
Oh,
they may get close, but they won't get it. So the first person to get that gets the full year, a free full year of Peacock.
Can I guess and get it?
No.
Why? I could be wrong. It may not have been the first game we played together.
Well, your memory is so bad, you probably would guess wrong, but no, you can't guess.
But my memory's not as bad as yours in remembering people's names.
Rodimus says It Takes Two. That is not the first game we played together. Destiny 1. I did not know Forte when Destiny 1 was really like popping. FTW says The Division. That also is a negative. Chip says Destiny 2. Anthem. Oh man, look, this is a good one. No one guessed this, yo. Man.
This is a really good one.
You guys are wrong. I don't even think I even played Anthem with you. Now I think about it. I don't think I played Anthem.
No, you didn't play Anthem with me. Really? Damn.
He said hopscotch.
I
don't want to. I was about to say something, but then people
want to give up.
It's not. Well, FTW clarified. Like Halo has multiple games. What Halo are you talking about, man? You gotta clarify what game you're talking about. You know what?
I think somebody just got it.
Yeah, Erodimus got it. It's Halo 5, aka Halo Guardians, is the first game me and Forte played together. We used to do custom matches with Luca and all the Spectre gang, like every night for like months for a while. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. I think what threw people off was the first game that we played together when we started doing the stream,
which was It Takes Two. Yeah,
It Takes Two was the first
right.
when we started doing the stream.
Right, but that's not the first game we ever played together.
Because we always talked about the first time we played was that Halo, and that's what Halo.
Yeah, we've talked about it multiple times. We've talked about it with Luca on before, and if anyone's paid attention, we've mentioned that a few times already. So yeah, people came around to it eventually.
Shout out to Erodimus, man. You really do know us.
Well, he did guess wrong twice before he came to that, so it was the process of elimination, I think. But good on him. Erodimus, I will send you that the code for Peacock in Twitter DM. So I'll make sure I do that tonight.
We should go play Anthem.
Yes, Erodimus, you won. He's like, did I win? I'm down for playing some Anthem.
Yeah, we need to go play some Anthem. Anthem was fun to play, man.
You know, Anthem was actually a topic of discussion today. A lot of people were talking about Anthem earlier today, and I had to, speak my piece on it. Yeah. Is it a bad game? Yes.
Yes.
Did EA screw BioWare? Absolutely. Did the story suck? Yes. Did it have forgettable characters? Who are those characters? I don't remember a single name. But you know what was good about it? It had great traversal and flying mechanics and really good combat. And I think, what I wanted to say earlier, and we can get up out of here, but what I wanted to say earlier about it was just that Anthem, like a lot of games that are bad games, like people have this mentality of like, oh, it's a bad game, so every aspect of it is bad or worthless and useless. And that's not true. Like, even bad games can have some features that are really good. And Anthem's combat and traversal are really, really good. They're solid.
I have a question.
Aspects of the game.
I got a question. Did they add the ability to zoom in with all weapons in Fortnite, or has that always been there?
With all weapons? No, that's new. That's new because they have a mod bench now in Fortnite where you can go to a bench, you can add a scope onto any weapon you want.
Oh, I was about to lose my mind, bro. I was like, I've been playing Fortnite wrong this whole. I said, how the hell did I not know that you can zoom in with weapons now?
No, that's new for this chapter. Yeah.
Okay, so because the only weapon you could zoom in before, like through the reticle,
sniper rifles.
Was sniper rifles.
Right. Now you could pick up a sniper rifle that won't have a scope. So really? that's the thing. Yeah. So it's a lot of people have been prioritizing going to locations or dropping at locations where they know mod benches are available, and that those are usually really big hotspots with bosses there and their minion NPCs all firing on you with other players attacking, and it's good, man. Like Fortnite's in a great place. It's doing really good. Let's get out of here because it's freaking 12:30 in the morning. We coming around close to 4 hours live, and I don't think we want to approach those Iron Lord podcast numbers. So we're gonna get out of here. Appreciate everybody for coming through. We love you guys. Enjoy your holiday. It's been a good year, and we've enjoyed spending time with you guys and just doing this podcast. And we're going to do it again next year, and we're going to have a few changes. Might be a new intro, might be a new layout overlay, but it's going to be the same Gaming Forte and Slow Mo Backslap, giving you guys a weekly podcast as usual. So
no show next week then, right?
Yeah, basically no show next week. Yeah, taking a break for once.
Taking an actual break, so we'll see everybody in the new year.
Yeah, we will see you in the new year. I hope you guys enjoy your holiday, whatever you celebrate. Enjoy time with family and food, and play some games, man.
Play some games.
All right, we're out.
Peace.